Papa Bear.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of BPMs, where banana polyamorous mustaches take over our lives. As you can see, we are prepared. This is episode 10, and for this episode, we wanted to do something fantastic. So right out the gate, let's introduce ourselves. I am Blaine, a.k.a. Papa Bear. To my left is Jan, the photographer.
Hi.
And to my right is Trevor, the musician.
Hi.
But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. For this special episode, we've got Taylor of Steaksauce Mustache and Your Hands Right History. How you doing today?
I'm very, very well, and even better now that I see you guys. So
it has been very fantastic to get to be able to touch base with you, even if it's over a screen during these pandemic times. It's always good to see everybody happy and healthy. So Taylor, we wanted to have you on for a special episode today. This is our episode 10. We have been having a fantastic time with this series, but one of the things that we have always wanted to talk about was merch in the music industry. And we know that you dabble a lot in the merch side of things by helping out other bands.
So much dabbling, yeah. A tremendous amount of dabbling.
Now, I believe that I have some of your Steaksauce designs. I have your pound designs, and I also have... Oh, there's one more that I can't think of.
Ghost Heart.
Yes, Ghost Hearts. I also have Ghost Hearts designs that you have done.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
So it's really cool to see that somebody else in the music industry is doing what we always tell them to do, of making sure that you can market yourself in more ways than just being a musician. It's very important, and it's also really cool because you get to help out your fellow brethren in the music industry. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got... into like making merch? We won't dive the deep dive, but give us like the elevator pitch of how you got into doing that.
For sure. Basically what it came down to is my first band. I didn't know who to ask because in our local scene, there's not a lot of options. And there was like 4 or 5 local bands maximum at a time. Like that's how many bands we have around here. And I'm in half of them. So basically,
I know that feeling.
Nobody around here knew who to talk to for, graphic design, merchandising, or logo work. And so I grew up doing a lot of illustration and pixel art for video games, program games with my older brother. And so I took some of that. I honestly didn't know how to use software, and I didn't know how to make it digital in order to get it printed. So my first iPhone, there's an app on there just so you could draw with your finger. And I ended up drawing my first band's logo, our album art, and a shirt design all on this little app. But for me, it was important because I wanted to make sure that what I was making was actually printable. And so I didn't want to depend on somebody else to basically try to tell me how to do it, because I wanted to know, and so that I would come across professional or whatever. So I ended up just watching YouTube videos and asking questions online, trying to figure out like, how big do I need to make the image file for a shirt design, or basically like that. So as my band started to develop more and we needed more and more designs, I just ended up doing more and more. And that got me basically very well rehearsed and practiced with doing digital design. And now I do it for half of a living.
For half of a living. So
yeah.
What exactly do you do for the half of your living? And then what's the other half you do?
So my main source of income, my day job, I edit a TV show, sometimes 2. I actually just finished up this other TV show on the side. But I edit a TV show called Hope Generation with Ben Corson. And so that's my daily bread. And then I pick up other video projects on the side when I can, just, music videos or live concert videos, stuff like that. And then other than that, I do a ton of graphic design. Right now, I dominantly do design for 2 labels. One of them is called Silent Pendulum Records. Ta-da!
Everyone loves the Silent Pendulum here.
Yeah, and so I love doing work for Cadner. He's just an awesome guy. That's Silent Pendulum. Mm-hmm. Then the other label I just recently started doing a lot of the vinyl preparation and design work for. They're called Secret Swarm Records. They're brand new and they just got started, but they're doing some really cool stuff too.
And that's Secret Swarm Records?
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're doing a lot of throwback bands from the MySpace era, deathcore, mathcore kind of stuff.
Dope.
So you mean like an old guy like me can actually go back and appreciate that?
Yeah, believe it or not, there's hope for you.
Yes, I'm not alone in this world.
I like the way you know that.
Believe it or not, Blaine was actually cool on MySpace.
I was.
Wow.
At one point in time, I was
How many
cool.
friends did you have?
Oh man, I think I had like a whole. Man, I don't get jealous about this, but I think I had like 50 something.
Whoa.
You're a regular Tom, dude. What the hell?
Tom had nothing on me. He'd hit me up for support. Okay.
I think I almost had as many as 50. Almost. I had 5 actual friends, and the rest were just bands that I liked.
Same.
All I knew is that I could.
Homeschooler.
Right. All I knew is that I could change like music players on my MySpace page, and that's all I cared about.
MySpace
So-
really had us out here coding our own friggin'
They did.
profile page.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
a
I know
young
so
age.
many, so many people who would never have learned anything HTML, CSS related if it wasn't for MySpace.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
Same.
my mom was telling me when my mom grew up, they had a computer lab, and it was literally one computer in a giant warehouse filled with all the tubes and everything.
Mhm.
It was the first computer that you could get, and the schools knew that that was the future. So each person had to program their own application. This is, back before there was even mice. And so my mom said that she spent 3 months programming this code to do, basic mathematic stuff. But that's what adults had to, like, all the boomers out there. they had to all program their own applications on this computer, and only one person could do it at a time. So you had to write all your code on paper
Yep.
and then come in and type it in every day. So that's pretty
cool.
crazy.
No, that's
Yeah.
actually pretty cool.
So, real quick history fun fact too: the original internet setups also used to have things where you would have to go down, and you'd actually have to have the paper, and you'd have to do the ones and zeros in the paper by punching it in, like actually puncturing the paper, and then you would have you'd have to schedule time about a year to a year and a half out, and you'd have to go down, and you'd have to take these papers to a government office that would allow you to put those papers in to actually put in your stuff for the early ages of the internet. It was so cool to hear my grandpa talk about that stuff. It was just amazing to see how far we've come from then to now.
Can you just imagine having to tweet like that today?
A year and a half out.
Right?
Yeah, man.
I feel like that would
booked
be
my
wise for a
time
lot of people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Had eggs for breakfast today. What everyone up to, bro?
year and a half later.
New phone, who dis?
New phone, who dis?
Okay, so let's get back on track just a little bit.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit. I like to give everybody who's in projects a chance to kind of like give their bands a spot to shine for just a moment real quick. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your Hands Right history and Steaksauce Mustache.
Okay, so Your Hands Right History is a progressive metal / metalcore, kind of inspired by The Contortionist or Tesseract.
Okay.
And that's with my best friends that I was playing in bands with previously before we started that project. It started off as a studio thing, just my best friend and I. We wanted to play prog metal, but no one around here could. So we just started writing and recording stuff ourselves. And then we ended up finding friends who rose to the occasion and learned the material. So that's with my best friends. It's been going for about 7 years now. And we release a bunch of concept EPs and material that all ties together. It's a very emotional and passionate driven project. And we've toured the western half of the U.S. with that band. And then Steaksauce Mustache is a comedic chaos band, is the best way I can describe it. A chaotic partycore band.
Performance beasts.
Yeah. And that band is basically, it's all based around endurance.
There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Many occasions we've brought up Steaksauce Mustache and been like, if you want to see the best show you have ever seen in your life, hands down, go see a Steaksauce Mustache show. I mean, out of the 10 episodes we're doing with you being number 10, I mean, I can swear there's probably at least 6 episodes that we've mentioned you at least.
Yep.
Or have at least said, no more wipey my diaper.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's funny because like all the other lyrics I actually take very seriously, and I'm writing about, stuff that I'm really contemplating a lot in life. And then we have little segments like that, like no more wipey my diaper, and people think that the lyrics are all a joke. I'm like, no, they're actually serious.
Right.
I think
It's
the
hard
only
being
thing in the
misunderstood.
band. Yeah.
So, okay. So after getting to chat about that, things we would like to kind of just discuss is like merch in the music scene and the industry. We really didn't want to like format it to just like you being able to just sit here and be like, okay, I'm going to ramble about like how I design and stuff like that. We kind of want to go a little bit more on that. What are the I guess for topic one, I would just say, what are the things that you would suggest to an artist are the most important pieces of merch? Because what we like to do is we like to teach younger generations that are just getting into music, like, what are the steps you should be taking? What should you be looking at? Trying to give them those pointers in the right direction of, hey, maybe you shouldn't be looking at this. You should be looking at this because this is going to better advertise you. I know on one of our earlier episodes, we discussed that I'm a big fan of things like stickers.
Yes.
CDs are obviously a must because you want your audio to be dispersed out there. And then shirts or hats, something that can be displayed easily that everyone can see. Do you have a preference when you think about merch? Like, what's your mindset behind?
If a band comes to you and says, hey, design our merch, what's the first thing you design?
Honestly, a t-shirt design is probably the easiest and most effective way to, number one, get your name out there, and also make a little bit of funds in order to help fuel your band forward, because most of the shows that you're going to be playing, you're not going to be getting paid for a long time. I think it was 4 or 5 years before Steaksauce got paid for a single show, and even then it was like $20. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what I would say is, like, the number one thing that you should get going as soon as you can is a logo of some kind. It could just be a fancy font. It could be a hand drawn illustration that you just scan in.
Black metal tumbleweed.
Yeah, exactly. I highly recommend Papyrus. That is a classically good font.
And we're done, guys. It's been a great podcast.
I actually made a shirt using just Papyrus and Bleeding Cowboys, which are, for those who don't know, it's two of the most generically, like, everyone hates on these fonts just because they're very iconically noticeable. Like, oh, it's like wanting to look edgy, but it's not.
It could have been Comic
I ended
Sans.
up making a Steaksauce. Yeah. So there's a situation you could use any font, but yeah, for a lot of bands, they don't have any kind of branding or imagery to tie into who they are as an entity. And when you have a logo, from that point on, when you get put on a show flyer, if you use the same logo, for years and years and years, people start to attach. When they see that symbol, it instantly makes them think of your band. So, it's kind of difficult, though, because a lot of bands, they either put too much pressure on their logo, like it has to be perfect, and therefore they never settle on anything, or they don't put enough attention onto it. So, like with my band Your Hands Are History, I created this logo. The band name is an acronym for YHWH, which, for those who don't know, it's the Hebrew name for God. And so I created this logo that's a circle, which is also a symbol of, like, eternity and whatever else. So there's some symbolism tied into it. But it's just the circle with the YHWH. And the first version I made was complete garbage, but we used it for 2 years. And people attached to that logo. And so when they saw the YHWH, they thought of our band name. And as time went on, I ended up changing and modifying that logo for each of our releases. I tweaked it a little bit and added an element to tie into the themes. And so you could do something like that. Or if you want to just keep it real simple, just simple block letters, nice, big, and bold, so that it really displays our name clean. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy, or it doesn't have to be super detailed. You kind of want something that's a little simpler, because then it can be used across a wide spectrum of mediums. For flyers, your CD, your t-shirts, you could just print a shirt with just your logo and people will buy that. So I'd say, like, a logo and a brand identity is important, but don't put so much pressure on it that you don't know what to use. Just use something and move on. You can always change it later.
I definitely can say that, like, even with the block lettering, like you were talking about, everybody knows what Pantera looks like. It's the most straightforward block lettering you've ever seen, but everybody knows it because it's been around forever. My band, personally, we couldn't come up with, like, an imagery thing, so we literally have, like, my band, Stress Fed Addiction, but we just go by SFA. So it's SFA in a circle with a bunch of green highlighted slime coming out of it, and that's just kind of been our logo forever. But yeah, I think branding is definitely a huge thing. if you can get that, it's really nice too. If like, even when you're making the shirt designs, say you have like the art that you want to use for like your album cover or something of that nature on the back of the shirt, and then even your emblem just on a chest piece, just to kind of, so that way even the shirt is representing not just your album art, but it's also representing your logo that you kind of display yourself as everywhere as well. I think that's always a beneficial thing. Rising Enemy is actually really good about that too, because they use RE, but they have it in a swirl design, and it looks really good.
Oh, cool,
and
yeah.
you always know when it's their stuff because it stands out as theirs. So
we just have a uterus. We have CH. Like, it kind of looks that's the truth behind it.
No, it really is a uterus.
It truly
and
is.
then
No.
one year at Rock and Roll Camp, one of the other counselors, I was giving out shirts to the other counselors because we're all good friends, you know. And she's like, "Is this a uterus?" And I was like, "You know what? Yep, it is a uterus."
I actually think
For
that was
you,
the
it
first
is.
thing I asked you as well. I was like,
Yeah.
Am I rocking a uterus?
Yes, you are, sir. Yes, you are.
It's a very progressive culture that we live in.
It is.
Even men can have a uterus. So.
That's
No,
right.
yeah. Oh, I thought it was Cold Hearted's Pussy Metal.
Oh, shit! How'd you know?
But anyway, so moving forward, past the logo design, what would you suggest as far as the next steps for bands trying to display themselves on their merch and stuff of that nature?
Some decent promo shots, not just, you know, cell phone photos that your girlfriend took, but if possible, ask around your friends, somebody who's into photography or somebody who's wanting to get experience with that. Again, a lot of people think that once they take something that it's permanent, you know, so a band photo or logo, they think like this is permanent, so they put all that pressure on it to be perfect. And newsflash, you will change your mind as time goes on, and you will always look back on your old stuff with shame. I've been doing music for 15 years, and everything I make in the next year, I look back and like, oh, I could have done that better. But
I mean, given the photos that I've taken of you, really? It doesn't get much better.
Honestly, like, it's always, whenever you see a picture of yourself or something, you know, a video, every time I'm watching it, you're always analyzing it, like, how can I get better? How can I change what I'm doing to make it more involved, I guess?
How do you get better than an American flag mankini and a pink boa?
Well, years ago it was different. I'd wear like a black turtleneck and pink like cargo shorts, just goofy things. But every show I tried to come up with a new costume or something different to bring in and implement, and it ended up becoming one show I had 14 layers of outfits on.
Oh my Lord.
God.
So like every song I was peeling off a layer to reveal the next costume, whatever. But
I think you were doing that to keep you from dying of a heat stroke. Sounds more correct.
Yeah.
it's for the art. It's for the kids.
That's right.
It's for the culture.
Yeah, I would say some band photos are always very, very helpful, because the next big thing about branding your band, which branding is kind of the, it's a subversive generic blanket term, like, oh, your branding, your imagery. It's something that you kind of find over time. It's not something you have to have established up front. And like Steaksauce Mustache, the first 3 years that we were playing together, it was more about the chaos and just spazzy energy. And we noticed that at our shows, people liked it, but they didn't get involved. Like, they would horseshoe around the room to spread out as wide as they could because they were scared of, like, to get hit, basically. And as time went on, we started being sillier and stupider and less spazzy, in your face, like chaotic, and more involved, I would say. Like, we kind of make fools of ourselves for the sake of bringing in people. But that was something that we developed over time. Like, everyone gets better. Everybody's first album always sucks. That's just how it is. But you can always get better, and they're milestones to look back at and realize that you've developed as an artist. But yeah, band photos are very, very helpful. Steaksauce Mustache didn't have any photography friends, so it ended up costing way more money. But we went to JCPenney and dropped $150 on getting family photos.
Oh
my
And we still use those for merch and for posters and whatever, because they're just so iconically corny. Like,
Is that the ones with
we're
you
all
guys in the
poised.
black turtlenecks?
Exactly. Yeah, all matching
I love
black
that photo
turtlenecks.
so much.
I don't think those are hanging behind us.
They are not hanging behind me.
Yeah.
I do have a Steaksauce mustache one behind me where you guys are the
that
boy
poster,
band.
Yes.
It was actually the photos from that JCPenney shoot. I used the faces from those images to create, and then I put us on I think it's One Direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a fifth member, so I just put a cat face on the
So
fifth
great.
member.
It's so good.
But yeah, it was those same, like, those photos still end up on some of our merch today, and that was 4 years ago that we took those.
That's awesome.
So it doesn't have to be perfect. You want something that more or less resembles who you are as people, because people end up, the biggest part of your marketing and your branding is actually you in your face.
Right.
Like in a lot of bands, they don't, I think it's something to do with self-consciousness. They don't want to be, like, it's uncomfortable to sit there and pose for a photograph or for a music video even. But who you are as a person, so your personality and your image are actually very important key factors in selling your band, because it adds to the aura of who you are as a band or as artists. So with Steaksauce, we always take really stupid, goofy photos, like all dressed in hot dogs looking sad, or covered in ketchup and mustard eating corn dogs out of a dumpster, something like that. Just we try to think of something stupid and that we haven't seen and try to do something different. Or you can do the classic metal band all looking down at the camera with the low lighting or whatever, and to make it look spooky and scary in a dark alley. But
as a photographer, if you hire me for that, please don't. I'm charging you extra. Like, there's cheese points involved. I'm sorry.
Yeah, as a band, you want to exemplify and show your personality. So if your image, if you're trying to be, say, like cattle decapitation, you want something that's spooky and dark and visceral and intense looking. So, something dark and simple lighting that's harsh, contrasty kind of thing. Or if you're a silly, upbeat, say, math rock band or indie rock band, you kind of want something that shows that. So yeah, that's the two things that I would say are really important, is try to find a logo, even just a doodle, something to use, and then also some band photos so that you can start spreading those and showing people who you are.
And to that point, as a photographer, I would always recommend go with someone you either know or you're comfortable with, someone you feel more comfortable as a person taking the photos. Like, I can be myself around that person. I'll be fine. If you have somebody behind the lens who you're okay goofing around with, it's going to be much easier to be yourself in a photo.
Exactly. Very, very true.
So
your mom is a prime suspect for using for photos. Your mom,
I love
This
your
goes
photos,
for certain people.
I don't know if I would want my mom taking
Mom, I love you.
photos.
Okay, Mom, we're going to pour fake blood all over us. Now snap the photo.
Fun fact, when we shot the Cold Hearts music video, we did, however, in fact, shoot it in my mom's basement. And we covered Matt Cernick in a bunch of fake blood. And in order to get him up to the shower, because he's covered in fake blood, and obviously we didn't want to track it through the house, we took trash bags and we trash bagged his legs. And he's walking upstairs in his underwear, and my mom's just got this look on her face like,
what is happening right
the
now?
fuck just came out of my basement?
It's Thursday already?
Oh, man.
I love it. So, okay. So the branding is definitely a very important side of things. Do you feel that branding needs to go into the side of where bands need to have like a uniform look as well? Or is that something that you stress on as much? Or is it, again, one of those things just kind of depends on what angle you're going for?
Yeah, it depends entirely. Like what Jan pointed out is the fact that basically something that you're comfortable being yourself. If you can attach to something, dark and intense, and that's something easier for you to more or less, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, like, just attach yourself to that kind of image, then do that. However, if you're a goofy, nerdy, silly individual and your whole image is dark, Slipknot, I forgot what the term is called, but basically where your mind is thinking one thing, but you're physically doing another, it actually creates a dysphoria in who you are as a person. And so it makes you start to second guess yourself and feel like you're a liar. And I'm not saying that it's that deep, but as a band with Steaksauce, we found that the more we embraced our humor, because that's who we are, that's how we connect as friends. It's all about jokes. We were always telling jokes or movie quotes and whatnot, and we were always sharing like Tim and Eric or Eric Andre videos with each other. And the more that we embraced that and just let that show in who we are as a band, the more comfortable we were and the more successful we were actually finding what we were doing was connecting to our fans. Because before then, we were trying to do something kind of more dark, and it was like a silly band name, but intense music. And we weren't connecting with people. Like, they really liked us, but they wouldn't come back to other shows, and they weren't buying anything. And not that that's important, but it helps. To look at that. Yeah, you need to analyze the response that you're getting and figure out how to change what you're doing so that it gets a better response. But
I definitely agree with a lot of what you just stated. Yeah. No, there's definitely an argument there. But one thing I would say, though, is that you were never really concerned with the merch sales, per se?
Not really. Like, since our Steaksauce actually has 2 designers in the band. Our bass player is also an artist who does more cartoon-inspired work for Comedy Central and Adult Swim.
Oh, nice.
And some other online videos.
And amazing dating advice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, please go look at the
series
Steaksauce comic book strips.
So having 2 designers in the band saves us a lot of money, because a lot of bands, like, as a graphic designer, I try to keep my prices as low as possible, but at the same time still compensate me for the time I invest. So I'm actually extremely affordable, and even then I second guess, am I charging too much constantly, because most of the people I'm designing for are my friends' bands or bands that I care about. And it's hard to say like, oh, hey, pay me $200 for this, shirt design or album artwork, when you know that they don't have $200.
Right.
So,
yeah.
but yeah, like, it's always important to sell your wares, because that's, as I said, like, you don't get paid from a lot of shows, even on a national touring level. With Steaksauce, we've toured most of the US now, and a lot of the shows you still don't get paid for, but you do make a ton of money off of your merch. So Steaksauce, we were touring supporting some bigger bands, and we were actually outselling them in merchandise. And honestly, we could create more merch because we have 2 guys working on design ideas or coming up with ideas for that material. So that helps a lot. If you can, as a band, if you have somebody who likes to draw, just inspire them to, like, hey, try doing this. So, try drawing a shirt design, and we'll take it to a print shop and they can prepare it. That's something you can learn later. But it will save you so much money if you're able to design your own materials. Or if you have a friend or somebody who can help hook you up for cheap. That's very helpful as well. So a lot of the time you need 20 shirts. You don't need 1,000 shirts right now. And so you just need something out there, and having something that you can afford is very important.
So when you're talking about having, multiple artists in the band, Steaksauce has a ridiculously wide range of designs. And you personally, you've designed some, the designs that, I've got a couple of Steaksauce shirts. You're wearing a shirt from Steaksauce, right?
The green screen.
Yours is standing out, I can tell you that. But I've also seen some of the work you designed. For example, you did a shirt for our buddies in Pound, which was still one of my favorite moments, because I didn't realize you'd made it until I saw Jeff from Neck of the Woods wear it.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Is that the one with them both facing the opposite direction, and it's like a gritty, blended their faces together? Yeah, and it's I love that one.
It's a beautiful design, but it's a world away from the stuff you designed for Steaksauce.
For sure, yeah.
So what is your kind of like your creative process? How do you get from one to the other?
So for me, it entirely depends on what the subject is that I'm making. So when a client, I say with air quotes, but when a client or a friend comes to me and they want something made, I usually ask them, like, oh, okay, what's the theme or the idea that you have in mind? Most bands, it surprises me, but most bands don't know what they want. And so a lot of the times you're trying to fish that out of them, like something that they like, so that you can make something that's similar to that. And as a designer and an artist, our bassist Joey, he has a very specific style that he is absolutely incredible, and he's super fast and efficient in that art style. And my problem is that I'm pretty good at a huge wide variety of things. I know how to get something done. I don't necessarily specialize in one style or the other. There's some things that I feel like that I'm more confident in doing. But what my skill is that, as I said, like I have a wide variety of things that I can mimic or recreate. So something like spoof art, I know how to Photoshop and use Photoshop well so that I can hide things or, replace things. So like the One
Put
Direction
faces on One Direction.
behind
Yeah.
you. Yeah, like that was actually a huge pain because the lighting and the imagery of the photos that we took was entirely different than what the original image was. And so I had to go through and touch up and recolorize and blend stuff to make it look like it's an actual face. So it didn't look like a mask plastered onto another body. But then other times, like you want to cater towards more of that humor side. So you kind of embrace the stupidity and the cheesy meme-ness of it all. So, but every design project, I try to approach it with like a blank slate. And lately I've been doing a lot of vinyl artwork, because vinyl, that was one thing you asked earlier, is like, what's one thing that people are wanting right now? And vinyl has been huge because we can't play shows. So people are starting to cling towards a like a collector's mindset, or like they're starting to hoard more and more band merch, and vinyl specifically is absolutely exploding. So vinyl are just selling out super, super fast. However, vinyl is very, very expensive to produce because you have to have a minimum amount to make it profitable. Mm-hmm. So on average, a vinyl pressing is usually around $3,000. Like that's a very rough statement. There are cheaper options or more expensive options, but roughly $3,000. Whereas a batch of T-shirts you can get for $150 or $200.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah. So each client that comes to me, or each band, I usually will ask them, is there any other images or styles or other merch that you like? And I ask them for reference photos, and I try to create something that feels like those images, but it, is a different subject. So if somebody comes to me, and there's a phenomenal artist by the name of Riddick. He does a ton. Like, I'm sure that you've all seen some Riddick art, even if you didn't know it was. But it's usually black and white, very gritty, zombie corpses, all hand illustrated. And he's a god tier artist. Like, his art style is iconic. But somebody could bring me something like that, and even though I'm not him, I can, I basically pick apart how he does something and try to create something in that same way of a different image. Or if somebody wants a cartoon, I can draw a cartoon.
Nice. And it's good to be well versed. I mean, that's something that's used in almost every field of artisticness, is that whether you're a tattoo artist, a photographer, graphics designer, you got to have the ability to at least have some flexibility in your skills, or else you're going to have to serve to only a niche crowd out there.
Yeah.
And you're not really going to get a lot of service, unfortunately, because you can only limit to one style if you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. However, I have heard the term that it's the incorrect pronunciation of the word, but niches make riches. And people who is very specific to a niche or a niche, they can usually promote that. And if people are looking for that specific style, they will go to that person to make it. So a lot of those artists that you see really, really do well, it's because they're very, very gifted and crafted to that one specific style, and people want that specific style. So whereas if you're me, you're just kind of flexible and a jack of all trades kind of thing.
Well, that's good though.
I think one of the great examples, and we brought him up before when we talked about Dead Animal Assembly Plant, the photographer Mothmeister does one thing incredibly well, and it's that dark surreal horror. And if you're looking for a dark surreal horror photographer in the Pacific Northwest, you're going to find him.
Yeah.
And because he specializes in just that, which means he can charge top dollar for it.
Yeah.
Because that's his thing. And there's very few people at his level.
So
and
I got a question.
Will know what they're going to get if they pay the money too. So what's your question? I have an answer.
So with the bands that don't know what they want, how do you approach that? Like,
kick them back out. You're like, tell them to get the shit together.
Yeah, man, we want this design. And that's it.
The phrase that
we'll know it when we see it.
Yeah, the phrase that I absolutely hate when a band approaches me, like they're trying to be open and like, oh yeah, whatever you want to do is cool. We trust your judgment. If
Oh,
they
man.
say that, that means that they're going to be a huge pain and constantly asking for revisions and modifications because it's like, yeah, we don't know what we want, but we'll know it when we see it. And the truth is they won't.
You get Hello
because-
Kitty art.
Yeah.
So actually, that brings up a good point. I'm actually glad that you said that because one of the things that I try to do, being who I am, is I like to promote people in the music industry no matter how I can. Whether it be, hey, let me buy your CD because I love your sound, all the way to, hey, I love you as an artist. I'd love to get something done by you. And
For sure, yeah.
One of the things that I do tend to do is I do look at like people who do art and design, and I do tell them, look, I love your style. This is who I am. Whatever comes to your mind is what I want you to do. I don't want to limit you. I don't want to put you in a box or structure it too hard. And from what you're saying, that seems like it's more of a pain in the butt to work with.
But you are Papa Bear. There's imagery right there.
Okay, but that's Papa Bear. But I've also asked her for, like, I've also got a band called Stress Fed Addiction. You know, that's a little bit different. But I don't like to limit artists. I see their work and it's like, no, I like what you do as an artist. Obviously, your style stands out to me. Here's my name of my band. I mean, if you want, I can give you a little bit of background on us, but I really just want you as the artist to own it and run with it. And literally, whenever they've done that, I've never asked for revisions. It's just been like, this is exactly what I wanted. You on a page, you know,
For sure,
just
yeah.
designing what you think when you feel that inspiration.
So, I mean,
But is that more of a pain in the butt for you?
if
So
you
it's-
don't want
it goes
revisions,
both
it's
ways.
different.
Yeah, it goes both ways because in your circumstance, you are wanting to support the individual, and so you make that known. And whereas most bands, they aren't expressing like freedom in it; they're expressing, basically, it's unfocused is the way that it comes across a lot of the times. Because like if you approach somebody like, "Hey, our album is called Dinosaur Bones, and we want you to draw dinosaur bones." You know, have at it, have freedom in that, then that instantly gets my mind clicked in and says, okay, I'm going to start, you know, chasing that target. Whereas when most people show up on, and, you know, they message you and ask like, oh, we want some artwork made. We don't know really what we want, but, you know, we trust your judgment. They always say, literally the people who say like, we don't know what we want, but we trust your judgment, whatever you feel, guaranteed. Those are usually the people who are going to ask for multiple changes or like, oh, that's not really what we wanted.
Right.
Like that it just happens. So if they're for bands out there who are looking to hire a designer, the more or less, if you have even just a rough cliff notes of kind of what you're looking for or a reference photo for a style, that actually is very, very helpful. And a lot of the times a designer actually can't create that style. And so if you express like, oh, we want something like this, they can instantly up front tell you like, oh, actually, I don't really have that talent. I'm not good in that avenue. Because art is very subjective to across a huge board. You know, somebody like Britney Spears might not want cattle decapitation's style of artwork on their material.
Be fucking bomb though.
It would be pretty sweet to see
I would buy it.
I would buy
Actually,
a
and-
Britney Spears heavy metal shirt in a heartbeat.
In fact, we were looking on
Yeah.
Google the other day for metal Katy Perry shirts, and there was none.
I'm actually very upset about this.
I was
It's
upset
one of those
about
things
it.
that the metal niche market would love it, but
Yes.
her actual broad audience probably would not buy it.
But to that note too, I think one of the things that's very important is when you have a rough idea of what you want. Like I'm a designer. I don't do a lot of it, but I know what I'm good at. And if you come to me and you're like, I want this, you have a rough idea, and I'm like, I'm not good at that. Odds are, I know somebody who is.
For sure, yeah.
And that's the other part too. Like a lot of us designers, we have networks. We have people we talk to.
Intramural support.
Yeah.
Send it to your friend.
And the music market, I mean, the whole world is this way. Individuals think that it's a competition in everything. And when I see somebody hire another artist, that does not make me sad at all. It makes me stoked that like, oh, like I love that guy's art too. Like it's cool. He's getting this opportunity. And the bigger you climb in the music world, the more you start to realize that when one person does well, it helps everybody around that person. And a lot of people think that there can only be one favorite band. And so when you go to a show, you're sitting there with your arms crossed, judging the other band because, like, oh, well, people like them because of this, or trying to discredit them. But the truth is that, like, if they're doing well, that means chances are if you're friends with them, you're going to do well too. So the more open you are to supporting other people, the more they succeed, the more you succeed, and the more you succeed, the more they succeed. So
we're
everybody
metalheads.
helps everybody.
We're metalheads. We don't listen to metal. We listen to 2% of metal and judge the rest. That's what we do. Exactly.
It is very difficult. It's like how many other music markets are that way? Where like if you go to a show, like their first album was good, but this sucks. I'm never supporting this band again. It's like it's the same people.
Well, the same people.
I mean, he used to do the squeal here, and now he just does gutturals, and it's just not the same anymore, bro.
No, it gets worse. It gets worse. I think the worst one I've heard is, I used to like them, but now they're sold out. No, they're making money. Support them.
Yeah, no, they did something right. Another one of my favorite ones we were talking about it the other day is like how us as metalheads, we sit down and critique the mix of shit so hard. Like,
oh yeah,
I've never once, like, because I have a bunch of country friends, I've never heard them sit around and go, "Yep, Garth Brooks' snare sounds like shit on this album." I've never heard that. But us as metalheads, we're like, "Nah, man, snares off. The guitars are missing the low end."
Yeah, but fuck Saint Anger though.
Kick drum doesn't smack, bro. The kick drum does not smack. And I've never heard country guys or anyone else do that.
That's so true. Yep. That's because they're dumb and we're elite.
64 gigs of RAM.
I am so over you.
Hey, I'm the anal seepage guy. You ain't got shit on me.
Clearly I do.
Anal seepage. Anal seepage. Anal seepage.
That's better.
But anyway. So something that I also like to get into as well is, what are your favorite types of merch? So for me, you brought up my favorite, which is records. I am a huge sucker for records. I don't know why, but I have to have them, and I need them all. So it's I have one of your guys's, the screen printed for Super Woke. If I'm not mistaken, I still have that, and I framed it up and I hang them up. I put them all over the place. I love records. I absolutely adore them. And it's kind of like you said, even before the pandemic, even though I was like, I have to have these. They're like my new Pokemon cards. It's fucking great.
Literally, I think it's the same kind of just that innate, like, oh, it's very tactile. It's big. It's physical. You can hold it and look at it, and the artwork seems to be, it seems to pop, and it's interactive. You put the record on and you clean it and play it. I'm also a huge vinyl enthusiast to a degree. Like I'm a part of these forums on Facebook, and these people are dropping $800, $900 for a single album. I'm like,
no,
that's stupid.
No, I'm not that far.
Like, I don't want to tear anyone down for how they spend their money.
No, that's stupid. But if they want to buy a Steaksauce record.
Well, here's what's funny is like, that website Discogs, which is, it's a cool tool. It helps you catalog what you have and find stuff on the market that you're looking for. But our album, you can buy it for $25 and, $5 shipping, or you can buy, we actually have some versions that the top of the case came a little bit torn from shipping. They play just fine. Everything else is great. Just on top, there's a little gash. And so we sell those ones for $12.50 right now. So you could buy our album potentially for less than $20, brand new. And on Discogs, people have sold our album for $48 used. And it's the exact same thing.
Damn.
Exact same album. And I'm like, why did people just not even look for our website where our vinyl is? It's odd. It's a strange market.
It very much is.
Well, hang on. Before you move forward, one of my favorite things, too, coming out with records as well is getting to see the splatter effects and the colors. A huge selling point for me, too.
Especially the last couple of years, people with their variants and some of the record pressing plants have really, they've experimented and tried new stuff. So that there's these weird mixes of different variants where it used to be only one or the other. Like you could have a splatter or you could have A-side, B-side squished. And now you can do some of both, and that's pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
It seems to be just Yeah, I'm curious to see where the limits will be.
I don't care. They make me think of my first gen holographic
So
Pokemon
Exactly,
cards.
yeah.
So
since we're talking about favorite merch pieces, what's your favorite piece of merch, Jan?
Oh God, are you gonna put me on the spot like
Well, no,
that?
I mean, like, what do you like to buy if you're going out of your way to buy a band's
yeah,
merch
if I'm
outside
gonna-
of a T-shirt?
But honestly, for me, it's t-shirts and hoodies. That's my thing. I love
Yeah.
being able to wear my bands that I'm sporting, and wrapping them when I'm out.
now I will say, what is the brand that I've said? I always mix it up.
Yes.
It's not.
So
it's not
this
Gideon.
is-
It's Gildan.
Gildan.
Gildan. I cannot stand if a band has a Gildan brand shirt because they are so stiff. They shrink. They lose. They're so fantastic for holding the coloring of the ink. Everything else beyond that, they are not comfortable.
You know what's really funny?
Go ahead.
You're wearing a Gildan right now.
I understand that. I understand that. But what I want to say on that front, though, is it's you guys, and I don't care. So
Here's the difference, though, is just like any other clothing brand company, they have different
Tiers.
models
Yeah.
Right.
of items that they sell. And those really cheap, like, they're $3-4 per garment.
right.
Those Gildans are like the low level ones, and they're exactly as you said. They're usually they're mass produced, very, very cheap, smaller thread count or whatever. The particular one that you're wearing is actually, it's called the Gildan Soft Style concert tee, and so it's actually fitted for bodies, and it's actually ring spun, which I don't know what the difference is, but basically they comb the threads before they twist them together, and so that creates a much softer feel, and it also is a higher thread count, so the print tends to stay on better. But yeah, nerd stuff.
No.
that's
And that's
good to
exactly what I
know.
was going to say is that the Gildan brand, if I see that on the tag, I have to check what style of that it is.
Exactly, yeah.
Because Gildan has burned me so many times, and I'm not even talking like just small shows. I'm talking like the big leagues as well. When you go to see like the main national tours of Metallica's
They
and stuff
usually have
like
the
that.
worst shirts.
Right. They usually make it the worst
to
and
sell the
cheapest
most.
to make the most profit off of them. But it's
Yeah.
one of those things where I would love to suggest to bands that shirts are so important to what you're doing in the music industry, and it is like the number one way to promote your band, sell something, make a little income from it. At least try to pick something that's of decent quality. You don't have to go top
Especially,
tier,
yeah.
but just decent, you know?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the things when you guys asked me to talk about merchandising. That's one of the things I wanted to express is like there's bands that I love, like Between the Buried and Me is a big one. And my bassist spent $70 to buy this hoodie at the concert, so that's expensive.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We sell our hoodies for I think maximum $40, and that's if they cost us $20 to make. But yeah, so $70 they're selling this hoodie. It was a very crappy boxy Gildan, the kind that like the zipper's so stiff that it wrinkles down your stomach when you sit down type of thing. And he wore it one time and then has never worn it since because of it was not a good comfortable feel. And so quality is huge, especially when considering the way that the market is right now. You're not, competing is the wrong word, but you are on the same platform competing against bands like Metallica now because you're accessible to the exact same market. So somebody who buys a Metallica garment, and say it's really top quality, and then if you're printing, hand screen printed Gildan shirts, the ink isn't all the way on the garment, so it cracks and falls off. It's the logo is skewed on your shirt.
Limited
that makes
edition.
an impact. Yeah, and what tends to happen is people will buy it once, and if it's crappy, they probably won't risk buying that again.
And
So it's worth it if, say, like the price difference is so minimal too. Like I love the brand's Bella Canvas, extremely soft, comfortable shirts, and they're eco-friendly sourced from what I've heard. Like they don't use slave labor or anything like that. I don't know which companies do, but Bella Canvas doesn't, and they cost, I think it's $2 more than what a baseline Gildan shirt would cost when you're getting it printed. Depending, prices fluctuate depending on who you're printing through and what kind of prices they have access to. There's a shirt a print company called Relentless Merch that I use for pretty much everything that we do, and that they're extremely fast, extremely affordable, and super, super friendly. Like I haven't found anyone that's cheaper than them, but Relentless Merch, shout out.
I'm writing it down right now, actually.
And so they're a company that if they have an option that is just as good fitting at a cheaper cost, they will make those recommendations. A lot of the times people know exactly what brand they want, but Relentless Merch, always I ask them like, hey, what do you have that's similar to this style or this color that feels like, that's soft and comfortable? And he'll line up prices for a few different options. And it's always like 50 cents difference or $1, but it's worth it if you're paying $7 to make your shirt, but you can sell it for $20. That's a higher profit margin than if you're paying $6 and selling it for $15. And that quality difference is the key factor. If you're willing to pay $1 more, you can make $3 or $4 more profit off of your product. I hate throwing around words like that, but that's literally what it is.
No, it's a product.
Your product as a band. But that generates more funding so that you're not, you could sell one shirt, or you could sell 5 shirts and make the same amount as if you had sold 8 cheaper shirts.
Right.
So, and you make the same profit margins or whatever. If you're in a band to make money, give up, because you won't. You will not.
Solid piece of advice right there.
Oh yeah.
I tell this story because it's very, very true. But the first show that I individually made money from, a Steaksauce Mustache show, after 7-8 years of playing these shows, it was like a year and a half or 2 years ago. We got invited to play this festival, a festival. It was like a block party kind of thing. And they said, hey, we'll pay you whatever you guys want. And we told them, like, realistically, to get the van, get all the supplies, to drive down there, drive back, get the time off of work. We're like, if we could make $350 for the event, which, let me throw that out there, we don't charge that much, but it was an off show and it was like 6-hour drive. So we had to make it so it was actually worth our time to go down and, spend a whole day and drive back. So they're like, yeah. We got there. They paid us $450, which is more than what we asked. And so we took whatever profit was left after paying for gas and expenses, and we split that up. So we each got like $25, like in our pocket, which is the first time in almost a decade of doing this.
Holy crap. So did you buy everyone Wendy's? Like, did you splurge on it?
Like, even when we go on tour, like if the tour package gives you a per diem, and it's $5 a day type of thing, or $10, you're like, whoa, my food is paid for. This is crazy. Other than that, we're each sacrificing out of our pocket, and and then you come home and work as hard as you can to get enough to pay for it again. But for some reason, getting paid $25 devalued what we were doing, and I actually got depressed about making money off of it, because your brain clicks over and makes you realize, okay, I literally spent 32 hours, preparing, going and playing this show, half an hour performance, and then driving for hours, and I got $25 for that 32 hours. And so it made you feel depressed, because I'm like, oh, is that all it's worth to people? but when you sacrifice for years and years and you never make any money off of it, it's just funny, because you trick yourself, like, this is worth it, this is valuable. And it is. Like, for me, music is all about community and connecting to other people, and I absolutely love every memory I've had. Touring is difficult and stressful, and you don't sleep well, you don't eat well, you're around the same people literally for a month at a time in a box that's traveling down the freeway, and I wouldn't change it for the world, though. It's just such a fun experience.
I'm sure those 14 layers start smelling really great during that too.
Oh yeah.
You guys still have that super awful smelling sleeping bag that you were tossing around in the pit for a while?
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
I've used a few different things, because like at one time I used to use an actual sleeping bag that I would actually sleep in. Mm-hmm. And after one show, it got so filthy, because like people spilled beer all over it and in the venue, and they're trampling on it. And I we took it to this person's house to sleep in it afterwards, and I crawled in and like, I can't do this. This is disgusting. So I froze that night. So I ended up, we found their sleeping bag liners. They're like $5 at Walmart, and I'll draw like a giant worm body on it. So we call it the worm, but yeah. It's more or less my balloon sack.
Nice. No, that's what you're talking about, though. I do understand that completely. Doing it from the promoter aspect side of it, one of the things that I always make clear to people is like I don't make money doing the shows and stuff that I book down here in our area in Kennewick. One of the things that I was very big on is that I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this for music to keep thriving. I want bands to feel respected, and I want bands to make a decent dollar amount instead of being worried that it's like, oh, hey, is the guy even going to pay us tonight? Stuff of that nature. And when I do actually have shows that like get me past like what the guarantees are for all the bands, because I always make sure to give guarantees, even a kid on their first night,
which is very, very, very rare, especially for the lower level bands like us. When a venue actually says, oh, we will pay you this much money and you can depend on that, that is so rare. Most of the time it's a door split.
Right.
And if you're lucky, they'll take pity on you and give you $50.
Honestly, the guy, he pays bands. He tells artists when they get free reign, and they actually get free reign. He's not as much of a bear as he is a unicorn. Let's be real.
Yeah. Papa Unicorn.
I've heard that from more people than I will ever understand why they call me a unicorn.
I think we figured out your next merch design for Papa Bear and Associates.
Go for it.
Unibear?
Number one, you're approachable and you're loving and supportive. And number two, you provide, like you take care of people and give them a place to play. You gave us a place to stay for a night, and you also provided food, and you buy merch. Like, you're a unicorn.
Yeah.
And legitimately, out of all the shows that we've played, you're one of the promoters that we actually remember and we think about.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Awesome.
a lot of the times promoters are kind of scummy. Like, not always.
Right.
Sometimes
I'm a musician too. Don't worry, I've been there.
Oh no, yeah. I take pity on promoters because I did it for 5 years and it was miserable. And as you said, you very rarely actually make a profit off of a show, and you're just stressed out. Like when I was doing it, I was doing donation shows and just renting out a community center. So my overhead was like $150 for the show, and then I would try to get the bands $50 minimum. And so, if you got 3 bands touring through, it was a few $100, but I was working 2 full-time jobs trying to pay my own bills and then also try to get them, get paid for a show and also some food, just whatever cheap food I could afford.
Right.
But so stressful. And all the time I would hear these comments, like somebody would show up to a show, oh, I'm like, I don't know why he would book a band like this. He should book bands like this. And it's like, I have no control over who wants a show. and or you hear people walk up, the scene's dead, and then they leave, and you're like, well, do something about it.
Why. It's dead because you walked out of the building.
Yep.
So when you deal with scummy promoters, I understand the burden that they're carrying on their shoulders, so I know why they have become scummy. Because most of the time, they're not doing it for money. Usually they're doing it because some part of them really wants to.
And that was something that I brought up. They had an episode. We did an episode where they actually grilled me about being a promoter and what it is I do. And towards the end, the very important thing I made clear was that I think every promoter started in the right place and wanted to do right by the music community. But then so many people just spat in their face that they became the bitter, ugly people. And it's hard to like not get caught up in that sometimes. But I have a community here that really cares about me, wants me to succeed, and I want my community to enjoy what I can bring them with my efforts.
And all it takes is that one person like yourself to just start doing it, and it takes time, but it grows.
Yes, it does. But the point that I was getting at was that you were talking about how when you finally made that $25, it kind of like threw you off. One of the things I do when I do shows, like I said, even if it's their first night ever performing, I guarantee a band $100. No ifs, ands, or buts about
crazy,
it.
Yeah.
And so if we do like a fantastic night and say we made an extra $600, I will literally grab the artists and be like, hey, we made an extra $600, so here's another $150 for you, $150 for you.
Yeah.
And I don't keep it. And everyone's like, oh, well, you must be rolling in money. No, if I keep anything, it's like, 30 bucks, 40
yeah.
bucks. And what I'll do is I'll instantly turn around and I'm going to your merch table and I'm going to go buy more merch. I literally have so much merch. These guys are like, dude, you're never going to run out of shirts to wear on this show.
I know.
He's got two boxes in the garage because we've been, like we said, we've been doing some things. He's got 2 boxes, like yay big, fucking full of merch he's never wore before.
And that's only the boxes they know about. There's probably another 8. But it's
down in California, there's a venue called it's a super common one.
Chain Reaction.
Yeah, Chain Reaction. And when you walk into there, like you always hear about Chain Reaction, for years on the West Coast here. But when you walk in, it's basically just a big rectangular room. And what makes it really cool though is that the walls and the ceilings, they put up sound foam, but then they stapled hundreds and hundreds of these bands' shirts on the walls as the padding coverage, and it's a pretty cool appearance and stuff. And you'll look around like, oh, this band played here back. That's an old shirt, and it's kind of a part of history. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's all.
That's an idea.
One of the things that I want to do is I want to use one of those quilt companies and just send all the shirts in and just start making myself like a ton of quilts of just bands merch.
Yeah.
Actually, I know someone who will do that for you for a relatively decent price.
Then we will talk after the show.
Yeah, quilts or sound panels type of thing. You could do that.
Oh yeah.
Sick.
That'd be cool too. But yeah, no, I think but the point I was getting at with the money thing is like, I like to give it to the bands because when I do get money, I get that same feeling that you have, that it's like, man, I just put weeks of prep for this show, and then I had to bring all the PA gear down, all the flyers and promotional stuff, getting all of this set up, doing sound for the night, tearing it all down, going home, and it's like, I don't want money for this because it does something about, makes you feel dirty almost, like it
attaches a value to what you're doing. And
exactly.
When it's priceless, when you're sacrificing for it, it's worth every second. It makes you feel like you have a purpose and a reason for why you're doing it. But when you start attaching your brain to the money, which as the band dad of Your Hands Right History, like you're the one that's collecting the money and paying for the gas and maintaining the vehicle. And it's so easy to get sucked into that mind trap of like, you start to stress. We don't have enough money to make it to the next location. But people take care of you, and people always, like, if you connect to the people, they're the ones that are going to support you. And we've never been stranded. Like we've had our van break down, and magically, another touring band sees us stuck on the road, and they came, we'll help you out, type of thing. Like it's pretty wild. It's a cool world. Now,
which one was the one where you guys got stranded in the snowstorm and you guys made the music video?
So Steaksauce, that was the last tour we did a year and a quarter ago. It was I think it was December, and we were supposed to get to Florida in 5 days. So we booked 5 shows to meet up with a big touring package at some of our all-time favorite bands. The number 12 Looks Like You, and then our friends in Moontooth, and incredible bands. Like this is our first, this is our big break, like getting to support bands that are actually touring. We actually got $5 to $10 per diem every day each person. Like it was crazy. And we had guarantees almost every night. Like, so that's what every band is like. Like, if we just do one more tour, we'll get there. Like, we actually got there. But yeah, we have to get from Oregon to Florida, literally opposite side of the United States, in like 5 days. So we booked 5 shows with like 8 to 10 hour drives each day to get out there. And on the second day, we played Salt Lake City. We were leaving, and it started to snow lightly, but our brakes, we noticed, were kind of seizing up. So we're like, okay, let's hit a quick tire shop, get this fixed. And when we get in there, turns out both the back brakes had completely seized up. So it was just our front brakes were working. And so it was supposed to be a half an hour quick, open it up, replace the part, put it back together, and go. Ended up being a 6 hour, like stuck in Salt Lake City, and we're watching the snow just start to pile up. And we're like, okay, we could still make it. So we take off, and our route took us through Wyoming, which is the worst state in the United States. It is the butthole of states.
That's actually the state that ended our tour as well.
Yeah. So advice to bands: rule number 1: never tour through Wyoming if at all means possible. And if you are touring through Wyoming, go in like mid-July. Safe time. But so the snow was piling up, and it's just long highways, just flat highways in Wyoming. There's no buildings or structures or cities. And as we were going, we actually fishtailed up around this bend. We were going pretty slow, and the van went completely sideways, and filled with gear, and we're all like wide-eyed, like we're gonna crash. And on our right side where I was sitting, it's just a straight drop off. It was like 10 feet down the embankment. There was like this big curved hill, and it's just a 10-foot drop off the side. We were completely sideways, and I'm looking over this edge like, oh my gosh, just relax, because if you relax, it doesn't hurt as bad.
I'm going to add something to that. I've been in a few car crashes, and that doesn't help. It still fucking hurts.
It's hard to relax when you're like, I'm going to die.
I'll give you a little glimmer of hope as you won't snap your femurs, at least.
We were completely sideways, and then all of a sudden the van recorrects, completely switches the opposite side, completely sideways. And I'm like, we're going straight off that edge because we're just looking right at it. And like, as soon as the tires catch, it's just going to pull us straight off. And then all of a sudden it recorrects again and fishtails, and we were straight. We didn't crash. And we were like all of us just completely frozen and breathless, just like, what happened? I can't believe we survived. And so we pulled over, and our chains, the cable that pinches it all together. It was so cold. It's like that rubber material. It was so cold that it had cracked and just exploded off. And like you have icicles appearing on the side of your car while driving. Like, Wyoming sucks. It's bad. And we were like 3 hours away from the next city, or it was like half an hour, but we were having to go like 10 miles per hour with these chains. And then every time the cable would break, we'd get out and have to use like rubber bands or whatever we had on hand to cinch it back to keep driving. And so we just hear the chains whipping the wheel well of the car. And so we finally get to the city, missed that show, of course. We actually made it to a pilot station, and they shut down the highways completely because there were just semis that were tipping over everywhere. And so we were stuck in this pilot station. And then the next day, like, we can't wait here. Like, we have to get to Florida in like 3 days now. And the longer we wait, the farther the drive gets. And so we ended up getting stuck, and we crawled to the next city. They shut down the highways again, and we were stuck at a Walmart and figured like, hey, we can't do anything else. Let's just film something. So I got my camera out, filmed and edited a music video, and that was it. And then, surprise, we had to cancel all of our shows on the way out, which really sucked because those were like just our individual shows with our friends before we met this tour package. So that was a bummer. But then we drove for 3 days straight, and we ended up taking back roads to get out of Wyoming because they shut down the highways completely. And we made it to Florida literally like a half an hour before our first door curfew to get there. And so that was a crazy couple of days. So avoid Wyoming at all means possible.
Well, the reason why I was bringing up that Wyoming experience of doom, it was the fact that when you build a community too, one of the things that's really cool is that when you guys did get stuck at that Walmart, you guys put out a thing like, hey, we're stuck. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you guys made the music video. You guys had some, you made productive work out of the time, even though you were stuck. But one of the things I remember is that, one of the first things I did as soon as I saw that is I hit you guys up. I was like, hey, are you guys okay? Do you guys got food? Do you guys got whatever you need? And
Papa Unicorn.
And so I sent you guys some money, and then I started noticing that it's like, well, shit. And then I shared the post, and then I started noticing that more people were like, hey, how can we send some money to you? How can we send some money?
Yeah.
When you take care of your fan base too, and you interact with them and you have fun with them.
Well, you buy shirts that don't suck.
That too. Yeah. They will reach out to you guys when you're in those times of need as well. So, I mean, it's always really cool to see, like you were saying, it's like, it's about the community. It's about what we do for our passions and our loves in this music industry. And it goes to the people as well, and they will return that love as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's just awesome to see when like fans can rally together and be like, hey, we know you guys are stuck here, but even if it's $5, that's $5. I'm not going to complain about somebody giving me food. You know what I mean? That's a huge deal, especially when you had to cancel your shows on that run, because now you're really hurting in the bucket to at
'cause
least start.
You're not generating any money, and gas is your biggest expense on the road. So roughly you spend a couple $100 a day on gas because you have a big van filled with gear and people. And we don't tour with a trailer because it saves on costs, and parking is a nightmare, and driving through big cities is a nightmare, and people can rip off your trailer and take off. So, but as you were saying, like that was the second day of our tour, and we had spent all of our money getting merch and everything else accompanied for that tour. And so we were about $2,500 in the hole after the van expenses, because it ended up being like $1,000 for that. And then plus we had to lose all those shows. So there goes all of our income. But yeah, legitimately people donated and like, hey, how can we help support you guys? And it was like pennies difference, but people donated exactly how much we were in the hole for that tour. So like they covered that, and we ended up sending merch and stuff to a lot of people too, because like they're like, oh, I wanted to get this shirt when you guys played here, but the show's canceled, so here's extra money.
Oh, that's awesome.
But what a lot of bands don't realize, this goes into your merchandising, your branding, even your show experiences. Like a show etiquette is a huge, like, if I don't know if you guys have covered this topic, but
We have.
as a band, what is your role when you walk in? What is your, like, you were there to network and make friends? Because but basically the niche market of metal and hardcore and underground house shows and all that stuff, the people who come to watch you play are your friends. And so if you make friends, there will be people to watch.
The other thing too, I think, that kind of going back to merch is, if I walk into a venue and I have $20 to spend and there's 4 bands playing, I'm probably going to be able to buy one shirt.
Yeah.
I'm either going to go with
And
the band
if you're behind your merch booth on your phone, not greeting people and saying, hey, yo, what's up? How's it going?
Yep.
Chances are they will not buy your stuff.
No, and that's really...
And that's what every band does. Like you go there and there'll be 3 people behind the table just on their phones or on their, the switches. But Steaksauce's whole ambition, so when we show up to a show, we are there to make friends. And so we kind of get a little bit over the top stupid. Like we'll be blasting air horns and throwing toilet paper at each other at the shows and stuff. But
wait, you guys got over the top?
What's that?
Steaksauce goes over the top?
Yeah, just
are you sure? Are we talking about the same band?
Dude, it's crazy how many people have tagged us in disgusting videos that are hot dog related. Just because it's like we wore hot dogs for one promo photo or one show, and people are like, dude, this is you guys. And it's like a naked dude with mustard all over his crotch and just hot dogs ground up on his flesh. You're like, I didn't want to see that, but I guess that's me.
For the record, that is now in my personal charts. You have topped Mariah Carey from my favorite Christmas music.
Oh, thanks. we joked about making that cover song, and then I just figured, heck, I'll do it. So I just found a karaoke version and recorded it in a day.
That's awesome.
You'll probably like, you said Mariah Carey?
Yeah. That's what he said.
You're going to like our next cover song that we're putting out here.
Oh, God. I'm excited.
I'm fucking scared.
I just finished recording it yesterday.
Ooh.
But yeah, so when you approach, like, what people don't understand when they're in bands is they think that the fans are there for them, for their ego, to help their dreams come true. But it's entirely backwards. You are there to serve the crowd or your fans. Like it's a service job, just like making burgers at Wendy's. It's a much funner service job, but your whole ambition and goal is how can we give the fans, or how can we give them something of value? So like Steaksauce, we did our green screen campaign. It was entirely a joke, and I didn't even think anyone would actually buy anything, but it was
it'd have to be a real idiot.
Yeah, so for those who don't understand, we thought that we make our own videos, but one of the things that we tried to do is we tried to film a video using like some tablecloth from the dollar store. It was really flimsy, it was tearing and stuff, and it would have kind of worked, but it just was impossible to get it to look right and even, so it'd actually look good. So I jokingly took that footage and created a crowdfundme video 3.5 years ago to raise $30 or $40 to buy an actual green screen. I was like, I actually want to do it on Kickstarter. but Kickstarter denied us. So we ended up putting it on our website 3.5 years later, and it was one of those things I just kept begging my bandmates, like, just let me do it, just let me do it. And they're like, I don't know, like, we think it's funny, but we don't want people to think we're just trying to get money. And like, but that's what we're trying to do. So
really, all it took was a pandemic.
Yeah. So yeah, we were like, I told them, like, even if nobody donates, I will pay the $40 to buy us a green screen, and then we'll say it was a success. But we did it, and surprisingly, our fans were way more eager to buy green screens than we anticipated. Because like I did it as a joke, like, I'll make a $69 package for this crowdfund that you'll get your own green screen. We sold more of those than we did of T-shirts. But we even with that, we wanted to give our fans something exclusive that like nobody else was doing. And so the idea of giving fans a giant green screen, it's been cool. Like, we sent green screens out to people, and we've actually gotten people filming and like, oh, I learned how to use it. And they're sending videos. Like, that's really, really cool. But as a band, you're there to service your fans. And so with your merchandising and image, you want to give them something of value. But yeah.
Hang on one second. Trevor, can you go to that closet right there for me, please? You should know what I'm asking for. Yes, that
I'm
would
pretty
be
sure
it.
I know
Thank
what
you.
it is.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, you might have a slight.
So, yeah, we were one of the ones with the green screen. Obviously, I have the shirt. Obviously, I have the green screen.
Now you got two green screens, one on their shirt and one to hang up.
The wonderful,
it's going behind your ass.
The wonderful, lovely art that you guys just drew on there, and all your signatures and fun little happy notes. Yeah, so I was sitting at work. I went on break. Me and Trevor actually worked together at the same place. And I went there, and I was like opening up my phone, and I saw it. And you had only posted like 6 to 8 minutes. And I was like, oh, I got to see what this is. I clicked on it, and I'm reading it. And the long freaking like write-up that you did for it was just so hilarious.
My most emotional performance yet.
I was dying.
So,
he literally walks out to break like 5 minutes after me, and I'm just crying on the side of my work building, just like laughing so hard.
Like,
he's like, what's going on? I'm like, go read Steaksauce's page right now.
So I go look at it, and I start reading it too, and I immediately started dying as well.
And then he's sitting there, and he finally finishes, and he's just like, hey, were you thinking of donating? I was like, I already hit up Taylor. I'm throwing him $100 right now.
I was like, oh, okay.
It's done. Yeah. I don't even care if this is real or not. Here, make dreams come true. I don't even care, dude. I was so happy when I was reading that thing, just laughing at work too. And it was a horrible day at work. You like literally made my day with that
sick,
post.
Yeah.
And then I came home, and Jan's sitting here at the house. We all live together, just so you're clear on that, just so you know. But I come home, and he's at the kitchen table. He's like, did you read that Steaksauce Mustache post about the green screen? I was like, dude, I literally already threw $100 at it. Don't even worry about it. He's like, so we're getting a green screen? And I'm like, well, no, I told him to go ahead and just keep the money. I just wanted to support the dream. I don't care. I got my laughs, and it was great. And he's like, no, you tell him we want our green screen. Because we're going to record a video of us with you guys doing a green screen of us doing a green screen of you guys using your green screen while making a video about it.
So you better understand that next time you're coming through Kennewick for a tour, that is happening.
Oh yeah, it would actually be hilarious to hang up a green screen behind a performance and then like film the video and post that up for something later.
Oh yeah,
like have infinite versions of the bands behind them.
Yeah, it'd be so great.
I mean, the best part right now is that as of the end of this podcast, I'm going to have footage of Blaine sitting in front of a green screen. And this is going to go so many places.
I'm waiting to see if he actually superimposes something on my shirt before it's all said and done, too.
Where do you think Taylor's face is going?
I was going to say, we got
I am so sorry for whatever the future brings.
No, I'm stoked. Like that's the kind of stuff that it's like it's always the stupid improv moments that you just make something up on the fly. Like at our shows, those are always my favorite moments because like you could have your routine down to a T memorized, and every moment, you know, this is where we do the pit call, this is where we do the wall of death, but
this is where we wear the baby mask.
Improv stuff that catches you off guard, and that's my favorite stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm stoked. I'm glad you guys liked it.
Oh, absolutely loved it.
It was a very terrible day at work, and I can attest to this. And you changed both of our days with that entire
awesome.
spiel.
Also, the day it came in was just as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But I mean, and that's something too towards people's merch. Like sometimes it doesn't have to be a planned thing. You did that just for fun, and then it's like, holy cow, so many people are supporting this. Let's give them shirts. Let's do something cool to just make it, cool for them too, for supporting us. And you guys do that. And it's really, really cool to see like how genuine and how much you really care about the people that, want to support you guys. So hell yeah, you're going to support them right back. That's awesome.
Yeah. It literally is like when you tour, you're just making friends in every city. And then when you get to tour back, you get to see those friends again or online. It is a community, and
Definitely.
when you have that sense of that pride and that ego where you're competing, you will be miserable because you will never feel like you're getting what you deserve. Like I sacrificed for 15 years, and that's why a lot of bands end up being like those disgruntled bar cover bands. And they're like, yeah, I opened for Zeppelin back in '69, and
I've never met any of those.
But
yeah, I know, right?
But you know what? The greatest feeling in the world for me, and like I said, I don't care about the money about it. The greatest feeling in the world for me is like being able to stand in the back of a crowd and just watching them all just interacting and having fun. Like so many different walks of life, so many people that would never talk to each other on a normal day.
Yeah,
and they're all together.
Different things, different politics, but they're all there together. Like it's uniting. It's cool.
And then what's even cooler is when like you guys go through something that's like a hardship, being stuck up in that snowstorm and stuff like that, seeing how many people will be like, hey, you didn't even have to ask anybody. They just started hitting you up. What can we do? Can I send you some money? Are you okay? It's a genuine family. And that's one of the things that I'm very big on, is that this community is my family. It doesn't matter if it's from here, from Florida to Texas. They're all family at some point or another, because that's what we do. We unite around each other.
And I think that's why the photo I mentioned earlier, the one of Jeff Radomski of Neck of the Woods, and the pound shirt that you designed, first of all, it's a photo of Jeff with his shirt on. That's a fucking miracle, and I'm going to take full credit for that.
For real.
He is a sexy mofo, and that dude can do whatever he wants.
He's got it. He's got it, so he can use it. Yeah,
right?
No, I'm not faulting the guy one bit, but see him supporting Pound, who is supporting your design. And I think that's just it's such a cool part of the community that we have as our alternative music community and its fringes.
For sure, absolutely.
So we've really, really strayed so far, but I love the conversations.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome conversation.
So mine's vinyl, yours is shirts and hoodies. What's your favorite piece of merch?
So lately for me, it has been vinyl, and it's mostly because I'm getting to work on that medium. And I also really love t-shirts and long sleeve shirts, especially, and some hoodies as well. The problem is that I've been designing it for so long that bands will often send me one of the shirts that I make, that's what I wear, is the stuff that people send me that I've worked on. But the problem is that I have more clothes than my wife does, and so I have
I'm just as bad.
Bands.
Just as bad.
We're all terrible about it.
And then I'll wear the same shirt 3 or 4 days in a row because I'm not. I work at a computer, so I'm not sweating and griming over it.
Right.
I pretty much change my clothes when my dog slobbers on it. So
there you go. Which, by the way, your dog did enter the scene at one point, and I beautiful dog, by the way.
Hella cute Doge.
I love my dog. Yeah, but so I love like long sleeve or hoodies a lot. That's probably what I wear the most. But vinyl is something where I can collect it, and I don't feel like. I don't feel like I have too much,
right?
Because I can always go back and, especially like as I said, vinyl is very tactile and it's very immersive. And rather than just hitting music on and play on the background, usually if I'm sitting down to listen to a vinyl, you have to be selective with what you're choosing. And you put it on and I'll read the liner notes and read about the album. So I love that experience. It's almost more like watching a movie than just listening to something. So yeah, I love vinyl, and I think I just passed 200, which vinyl's very expensive. So if you're not into vinyl and you're thinking about it, don't, because
It's expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive. Like,
I think right now I'm just about to hit 100, and I'm like, and that's all just from underground music. I don't.
Yeah,
I think I maybe
exactly.
have 2 that are like mainstream, and I think that's Suicidal Tendencies and a Beastie Boys.
mainstream.
Right, and it's just and a Beastie Boys one, but I mean you can never go wrong with the Beastie Boys.
I'll give you
so-
one mainstream.
I'm glad
point.
you enjoy my Uncle Rusty's work. He recorded the Beastie Boys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was the one thing I was going to complain about, is the snare on that album.
And it comes full circle.
I'll let him know. I let him know. I talk to Candy and Rusty at least once a month. I'll let him know that his snare was trash.
So,
I actually can't even picture it right now, but it's for the jokes.
So, Trevor, you're the only one we haven't asked yet. What is your
Yeah.
favorite piece of merch?
tracksuits.
If you got a tracksuit, I'm gonna buy it for one. But no, I'm a sucker for windbreakers. I have way too many windbreakers, and I don't get to wear them enough. But if you put out a quality one, like the designs you did for Ghost Heart, like the heart and whatnot, I think that's one of my favorite designs you've done, actually. But if you have a
Really? That's
quality,
awesome.
yeah, no, it is. But I love Ghost Heart too. So
Yeah, they're
But-
sweethearts. I love those guys.
if you have a quality windbreaker, and I'm not talking just like something flimsy, I like it when they have like a nice liner in them and they actually hold quality. Like sometimes a bomber is what they call them too. But I like the higher quality windbreakers, and I'll pay anywhere up to $70, $80 for that, because I know how much it costs to print those.
Yeah, those are like most production for those. The cheapest I've seen is $28.
Yeah.
for one unit, and that's if you're buying like 50 at a time type
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly. But I'm a sucker for long sleeves too. I have an infinite amount of long sleeves that I like to wear.
Heck yeah, dude.
Like
I love the sleeve print trend
Oh,
right now.
yes.
Like, I love that.
So that's exactly what I was going to say. I recently, for Christmas, everybody decided to just buy out the entire catalog of Kingdom of Giants for me, and they came out with
Yeah.
one for their song called Bleach. And on the sleeves, it's not just their logo or anything; it's the active chemical ingredients on both sides and the warnings for
oh,
bleach.
like the symbolism.
Yeah.
No. so
that's
it's got
cool.
like
The warning labels from the package.
so it's like
Oh, that's so cool.
it'd be like this, like on
Yeah.
a water bottle or
Yeah.
whatever.
The
but it's-
bleach nutrition facts.
Exactly. So like nutrition facts, but it's on the arms.
Hey,
And I
now,
thought that was
nutrition
the
facts
sickest,
go on
the
Tide Pods.
sickest shit ever. So yeah, no, I'm a
that is
sucker
awesome.
for windbreakers and long sleeves. Also cassettes. I love cassettes. I don't know why, even though I don't have a cassette player.
Yeah.
But I love cassettes.
As soon as somebody
Cassettes are
makes
kind
8
of like
tracks,
vinyls.
8 tracks.
somebody makes those, I'm gonna be all over that crap. I'm gonna buy them. So,
Dude, if you play your
the
drums as a
physical-
hollow tree with bones on it, like we'll buy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
but yeah, no, that's cool. I definitely knew you were going to be bringing up the windbreakers.
Oh,
That's
hell
why I
yeah.
wanted to give you a chance at it.
you know I'm coming because all you hear is
Right. But the other thing I want to throw out too is if it's not vinyls, it's hats.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore hats. And all of the things that we've listed except for the vinyl, it sounds like the vinyl is kind of like the intimate collector side of it.
Yeah.
But everything that we've said, windbreakers, shirts, hoodies, hats, long sleeves, all of that stuff is stuff that shows your band off in public to other people at any given time.
You would say we're repping them?
It would be like you were repping them, but it's one of those things that bands really need to make a focus on that stuff, so that way they can get the word out there. So when they go see a buddy, it's like, oh, what band is that? It's that ability to get more people involved without having to do extra legwork, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, I human beings are pretty interesting because like they're trying to define themselves outwardly towards others. So, that's why we wear stuff that we care about. We want to promote them, and we want people to see that and relate that to who we are as individuals. So like that's why we get haircuts or do crazy facial hair or whatever. So as a band, you want people to identify with you, and because as you said, it helps. And if I'm wearing a metal shirt in our area, metal music is bottom tier of the fan base around here. Like we definitely have more of a country kind of fanship, or hip hop especially is pretty popular around here.
No idea what it's
Or
like.
rap. But so when you see somebody with a metal shirt, even if you don't know what band it is, your eye gets grabbed and you're like, oh, who is that? Like, I'm gonna go talk to him.
Right.
That's pretty cool. It unites us. It brings us together. And it's like a shirt of like a decapitated, baby seahorse or something. And you're like, oh, he's a nice guy.
Oh, he's a nice guy. I love it.
You were about to say something before I let Trevor finish. Go ahead.
One of the things you kind of brought it up there. It's that uniting factor, and I've definitely met people because I'm like, dude, fucking love your shirt.
Yeah,
and it's such a simple thing, and nowadays you can say it from 6 feet away.
I like your shirt.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Is that a cattle decapitation mask you're wearing?
Anal seepage.
I can't tell because it's so scrunched up on your face. But.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a great thing.
But the other thing that I do think we're coming to at this point is that we have to press the red button.
No, not yet. So one of the things that we kind of a little bit touch based on, but I want to touch that I think is important to discuss a little bit for people in the music scene when they're dealing with their merch, the markup on merchandising.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think a lot of bands mistake is that they're trying to get rich off of their merch. You're not trying to get rich off of your merch. Your merch is you're hoping that you're breaking what the cost is. Obviously, you do not want to go in the hole because of that. But usually, safe to say, I'd say markup is usually about 50%. A lot of bands like to do for 100, but there's nothing wrong with saying at least a bare minimum of 50% over cost. So.
Yeah, so it's interesting because different things will sell different amounts.
Right.
Which is funny. It's literally the exact same garment and same ink quality, but just the image and the way that, kind of the way that they connect it makes it different. But this is what I would actually recommend for most bands. It depends heavily on how much you're paying. So I would say that that's the first big factor. Roughly, you want to aim for, when you're buying shirts, you want to try to aim for about $6, maybe $7 if it's like 2-color front and back. Because every color, if it's screen printed, every single color costs a little bit extra, and every single placement costs a little bit extra. So if you have a blue and red shirt, like a blue and red design on a white shirt, and you have it on the front and the back, and the 2 colors for each side, that roughly costs, $3 more than it would be if it's just a single shirt with a black logo on there. So what we try to aim for is roughly like our multicolor shirt designs, like 4-color prints. Those get expensive. That roughly costs about $750 through Relentless Merch, who I mentioned earlier, like very, very affordable, fair pricing. A lot of people, for like a Bella Canvas shirt, 4 colors, it would be like $11-12 which, so if you're paying $12 and you're trying to sell it, like, I don't even think that most bands are trying to get rich off of it. I think that the problem is they're paying too much. So just to break even or make a little bit of profit, they have to price it stupid high. So $25-30 to make an actual decent profit off of a shirt, and chances are it's going to be garbage, because if you're paying for that much, usually it means that they don't know what they're doing. So it's a good sign. But yeah, so Relentless Merch, it's roughly like $750 for like a 4-color shirt design for us. Don't quote me on that. That's just rough
for the setup
idea.
that you guys have been doing. Yeah, it's a rough idea.
Yeah, and we try to price our materials actually 3 times higher than what we're paying. So if we're paying $7, we aim for 20. 21 would be the exact ratio of 3 times, but we sell it for 20. The reason behind that is, number one, we paid $7 to get the shirt, so you have to make $7. Then you make $7 back so that you can print another shirt to replace that one, and then the third $7 is actually used for the profit to help your band, for gas, for music videos or production, whatever else you have to pay for. So I would say that the rule of 3 is very beneficial. But again, if you're paying $12-15 for a garment, then the rule of 3 is if you're charging $45 for your t-shirt because you paid too much money for it up front just to make a profit, that is too much. And so the tendency is that these bands are paying $12 to get a shirt printed, and they're trying to sell it for $20, and they're only making $8 profit. which isn't enough to even pay for the next shirt. So yeah, you want to try to find. I'm always looking for, new garment printers or sticker options that are cheaper. A good sticker company I would recommend is 123stickers.com. It's actually a local shop here, but they have a sale section, and each month they rotate out a new, I think this month it's a white sticker, white vinyl, but you can have black and yellow ink, and it's dirt cheap, like 200 big stickers for like $30-$40.
Oh, dang.
So
Nice.
That's really cheap.
So I haven't seen any other companies that charge that cheap, but each month they rotate it out. So I'll actually design a sticker based on the colors that they offer, and it's like, okay, cool, $30 for 250 stickers, and then you can give those out because it's like 10 cents. And so that's something too I'd recommend for bands, is if you can have something that's super, super cheap, like stickers, that you can just give to people.
Yeah.
Because if they kind of liked you at your show, they're going to probably forget. So if you can, give them something physical. Giving them a CD is kind of expensive these days. It's $3-4 per CD that you're handing out. So if you can, something like a sticker or a poster, even, like, you can get posters printed for fairly cheap at local print shops, but just something that you can give out to people. Or at our shows, like we buy pool noodles for part of our experience, and we found that that's one of our biggest expenses when we're on tour, is because people will take those pool noodles home, and so they come up to us after the show, sign this pool noodle that's bitten in half and has nasty scum all over it. I'm like, all right, here you go.
I think you might be the only band I know with a pool noodle budget.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday, like, we want to get sponsored by a pool noodle company and have them design the pool noodles to look like hot dogs.
Oh, nice.
Oh my god.
So the pool noodles, it's like a buck a pop, and we cut them in half, so roughly 50 cents. But that's something that they can take home as a tangible, like, this is, it's something special to remember the event. And that's a huge key factor when people are buying your stuff at a show. Number one, it's that innate sense, like, I want to help them. So, like, they're wanting to support you. And then number two, it's because that experience meant something to them and they want to remember it. So they want something to hold on to. And so when they buy your shirt, it's because, like, it meant something to them. So that's a good sign. And
it's definitely important too if you can give away like free stickers and stuff like that, especially if, like, once you're done with your set, hey, come by our booth, come get a free sticker, come say hi to us.
Yeah.
And it gives them a reason to come to your booth. And even if it's the kid who loved you and they absolutely do not have any money on them, at least they can be happy they got something that they can walk away with that's tangible in their hands to take home with them.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal.
Else you will do a ton of is a lot of people like, oh, I only have $17, and it's like, we don't care. Like, the fact that you want the shirt, we will make deals left and right to help people out. And so that's the other big thing, is like, if you're generous, there's a fine balance of being generous and being overly generous.
Yep.
And the first few years that I was in a band, I funded everything. I paid the $400 to get shirts made. And I was just giving out shirts left and right. That ended up actually hurting us more than it was beneficial, because then people just expect, oh, it's free. And it got to the point where it's like, I've lost thousands of dollars just giving stuff out. Because I was just like, the fact you're even here means everything to me. So there's a fine balance of, people want to support you. And if you're cutting off that option to do so, then in a weird way, you're actually taking an experience away from them. Because, like, if somebody's like, hey, I want to buy you lunch, and you're like, no, I don't want your lunch. Like, I'll buy lunch for you. Like, no, I wanted to buy you lunch. No, I'm going to buy you lunch, type of thing. Like, it's robbing them of that experience of being involved with what you're doing. If that makes sense. But yeah. So finding, it's a weird dancing act. It's always changing. But you want to watch and see what professional level bands that you're trying to be like. Watch at their merch booth what is selling, and also see how they're involved and what their process is, because how you sell merchandising is actually important. If you're taking too long trying to dig stuff out of a box and you can't see the sizes, people who are waiting in line, if the next band starts playing, chances are they're going to walk away and they might not come back if they were waiting to buy something. That happens a lot. So that's something I would recommend for your merch and your stock, is figure out a way to keep the size is divided so that you can find stuff really fast. So for your Hands Right History, I have like those little drawstring backpacks.
Mm-hmm.
You can get them on Amazon for like $1.50 or $2. And so I'll buy 6 of those per color. So I'll buy 6 blue bags, 6 yellow, 6 red. Then when we get a shirt design printed, I will select that color bag for that design.
Mm-hmm.
So our red bags all have that design, and I'll write a big medium on it, on the outside of the bag. So that way, when I'm digging through, I just look for the giant M. I can pull out that design for the person. And also, you roll your shirts up with rubber bands. Do not use tape because that leaves residue and ruins the garments. That's something that I learned after leaving shirts in a hot van for a summer. When I came out, all the shirts had nasty tape residue on them. And so, yeah, don't use Scotch tape or anything like that. Like, use rubber bands.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's all stuff that over time you pick up little tricks like that helps preserve your quality, and the way you present it is important too. If you just hand them a wadded shirt, it looks like a rag. That's not very nice. You want somebody to like have it folded up and hand it to you, because then it feels like, oh, this is special. So
Sure.
all those little things, they all make a small difference.
Yeah.
Anyways, I can ramble, but
No. You're fine. You're fine.
You're good.
We're going longer than we normally do on our episodes, but you know what? This is fantastic. I don't have any problems with it. As long as, we're having good conversation. Who cares?
I'm just here for the hangs. I'm just stoked to see you guys.
There you go.
We love you too.
I didn't say that, but
I was going to say, you took it too far, man. You took it too far.
Sorry, man. I get all weird and sentimental.
So I guess with that being said, is there any of topics about merch that you would like to bring up before we move on to the next segment?
Nothing's like I do well when I'm given a question to kind of get my brain going. But yeah, there's no right or wrong way for a design. Even there's trends. Oh, that's something I could talk about. Being aware of what kind of trends is important, but don't always follow trends. Like, do something that sets you apart.
Mm-hmm.
So a big trend is black shirts, white ink, just black shirts for metalheads. That sells really well. Like, people always wear black shirts. Steaksauce, our whole branding and image is more or less poking fun of the cliche tough guy mentality metal.
Mm-hmm.
So because we're jokesters, we're stupid goofballs, so we wear diapers and throw confetti and everything else because we're trying to make people feel comfortable by watching us make fools of ourselves.
Right.
So that they feel like I can have fun too. But so our imagery, we try to use bright colors. Like, we'll sell pink shirts or yellow shirts, blue shirts. We also sell black shirts because, again, those guaranteed tend to sell better. But, if you give people an option between a white and a black shirt, most metalheads are self-conscious about like, oh, I sweat a lot or I'm big, so like I'll get the black shirt, and like it's subconscious for them, but that's how they gravitate, is like they like the black shirts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so be aware of what trends are popular. So like right now, sleeve print is banging. So if you can, pay that extra 50 cents to get your sleeves printed too, because then you can sell it for $2 or $3 more. But yeah, so be aware of what kind of trends are popular right now and what sells well. And if there's a design that you like, chances are that other people like it too. So if you like the themes that Silent Planet uses, try to make merchandise that feels like that looks similar to something like that. Because if you make stuff that you like, chances are your fans will like it too. Because if you're into that kind of music and you're using that to relate to your image, then chances are it will correlate really well. But at the same time, don't be afraid to do something that's outrageous and over the top and silly, like green screens or
Exactly.
our vinyls. Did you get one of the diaper ones?
Did I get one of the diapers?
Yeah, with the vinyl that we did with the screen printed ones.
No, you guys did not have any diapers.
I think we sold out.
You guys did sell out of the diapers, but I did make sure that you guys all signed it because I was like, you're going to sign it. You're here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So we on our pre-orders for that album, we had like, it was like $5 more, we would sign a diaper and
Oh,
send you a
man.
signed diaper with the vinyl.
I wanted to do it too, and they ran out of the diapers.
I actually want to get sponsored by Huggies. Like, I want to be the first metal band on our album, like sponsored by Huggies. But
I mean,
actually get like our faces printed on diapers would be pretty badass. Like,
That's
you know,
awesome.
the little line that turns blue.
Yeah.
When it gets pee in it, like have our faces turn a color, like pink and blue or something.
I would totally buy that.
But
He's
yeah,
giving
like,
you
stuff like that.
inspiration to have kids young.
Oh, I'm out.
And
No.
if you can't afford it, like a big trend right now, vinyl is huge. It's a much more expensive up front, but it ends up being a higher profit margin down the road too. But as you mentioned, CDs actually sell a lot more than vinyl does. There's much more of a collector's like, I gotta have that mentality with vinyl. But CDs, $5, yeah, I'll buy that. And a lot of people still collect CDs as well. Cassettes also are really popular right now, and they're pretty affordable. You can buy like a pack of 20 cassettes versus, CDs you usually have to get at least 100, and to make it cost effective, you have to buy 500. So that's like $1 per CD versus $2 or $3. I think the website's called easydisc.net.
Yep.
They have digipack CDs. It's like $1.50, which is really, really good for like 100 pack. That's very, very, very affordable.
That's who we
a lot of
use.
other websites, it's like you got to have 500 minimum, and it still costs like $2.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so options like that are always helpful. But yeah, cassettes are really popular right now too. Again, it's the same mentality of like, it's collectors, it's physical, it's nostalgia too, because every kid had a cassette player growing up. So following those trends is very helpful for how to navigate the market. My other band is perfect. Our logo fits perfectly on a Frisbee, and I found a website that you could print Frisbees for less than $1 a piece.
I've got a couple
Again,
of
you have to
Frisbees
buy
from different
100.
bands.
Yeah, so we thought it was a cool idea. Like, Frisbees are great. We sold maybe 10, and it's gotten to the point, it's like, I have all these Frisbees. So we were selling them for like $3 or $4. We already broke even with that $100 investment. So now I'm just throwing in a Frisbee with every single order just to like get them out there. And then, and then the fan opens up the package. Whoa, they gave me a free Frisbee. Like,
Wow.
it is the whole reason I try to write handwritten thank yous on all the Your Hands Right History stuff, because Silent Planet, this is 5-6 years ago, before they even put out their first EP, they released a couple songs, and I liked it, and they announced their EP, and they had like 700 fans on Facebook or something like that. And I listened to the music and was like, this is really cool. So I paid the $5 and $2 shipping to get the CD. And it took like 2 weeks before he shipped it. So Garrett wrote a whole page, handwritten, just saying like, hey, apologies for it taking so long. Here's an extra free copy and some stickers if you want to share it with a friend or do something, throw it as a Frisbee, do whatever you want. Like, it's totally yours. But the fact that he took the time to write this note and also gave me more than what I paid for, that stuck with me. And so,
you're talking about it 6 years down the line.
Yeah. And then a couple years later, when I started booking shows, I kept inviting him, like, oh, Silent Planet, come up. I would love it. Like, nobody cared who they were back then. And then I just wanted to meet these guys that like were so nice to me as a nobody that they've never met. And then like 2-3 years later, they got signed to Solid State. They released the first album. They started blowing up. I was like, oh, they're never going to come now. And then like the week after they released their album, Garrett messaged me. He's like, hey, so we need a show in Oregon and it's in 4 days. Can you book us something? And so I was like, yeah, of course. But just it was all because of that one CD, the fact that he signed it and responded to me as an individual and treated me with kindness and respect, even though he didn't know me. That struck a chord with me. And so I'm a diehard Silent Planet fan, and I'll buy their merch. I'll buy their albums just because of that, because it took 10 minutes to write a note. Like, it makes a difference treating each an individual person, like treat them kindly, basically. Because as I was mentioning, when you go to shows, there's a lot of bands that just sit behind their merch table on their phone, and it's because they're self-conscious, they're tired, they're bored, like they're just trying to enjoy something, trying to feel normal, I guess, because you don't feel like a human being when you're on the road for that long. But it makes a difference if when you're at a show, you treat it like this is our chance to connect to these people, and these are people we may not ever see again. So like, let's meet them now. Let's make them our friends. And there's a lot of shows that we would roll up and we'd bring in all of our gear and we don't know a single person there. And everyone's self-conscious when you walk into a venue and you're looking around, you don't know anybody. You look at them. So many people walk in, they'll see our merch with all the bright lights and the colors, and we're spraying our air horns and whatever, and they'll look at it from afar, and then we point them out like, yo, what's up? How's it going? Who are you here to see? And just engaging them as soon as they walk in, they kind of walk over and like, oh, who are these guys? Like, just because you're friendly and invite them over, like they usually will come over, and they're just waiting for that invitation. And so as a band, if you're trying to market yourself, if you're trying to make contacts, you're trying to build your community and your fan base, literally what it comes down to is treat each person with kindness and be a friend for them, because chances are you'll do that for somebody that you didn't know was a big deal, and then you get signed to a label with one of your favorite band's drummers, and then you end up doing designs for him, and then now he's your coworker and you make all of his vinyls for him. That's literally what happened.
It's a small scene,
awesome.
man.
Wait, so are you talking about Alex from Silent Planet?
No. So the drummer of Number 12 Looks Like You, his name is Michael Cadner, and he's Silent Pendulum Records, and he it's a long story, but basically the worst show that Steaksauce had ever played up to that point is literally a Thursday night. It's supposed to start at 8:00 at this bar that we didn't even know did shows here, and the show did not start until 2 a.m.
Ooh,
and
man,
it was literally, I was fuming. I was like, why are we even here? Like, what is going on? And it was just all these things kept happening. There's nobody at the show. There's like 2 people that came to see us, and they ended up going home at midnight because they waited 3 hours and nothing happened.
That's wild.
We were playing literally for the touring band that we were helping. Basically, this promoter said, hey, my friends are coming through your town. If you play a show for them, you can come play a show in Portland. So that's, for people who don't know, that's like 5 hours north. It's the closest big city with big opportunities. So we'd been trying to play there for years, but just couldn't get our foot in the door. And so we're like, yeah, we'll play for your friends. So we did what we could. The show was a complete total bust because the venue and the promoter was just, it was sad. And that was the show that Steaksauce Mustache broke, where it was no longer intense, crazy, Dillinger Escape Plan wannabes. And the guy running the show kept turning off the microphone because he thought it was feeding back, but it was the guitars were feeding back. And so he kept turning off the mic and looking at the speakers. And I got fed up, so I threw my microphone and grabbed my shoe and just started screaming in my shoe for the whole show. and we started like running outside. Now, at that point, I was just like so frustrated that I was just venting, which has never happened at a show other than that one and one other one, because like I'm usually happy to be there. So I was just mad, and I was venting and just like being a goofball, doing stupid stuff and jumping off the walls and climbing on stuff. And turns out the promoter who asked us to play that show for his friends, he was with them, and his name is Jeffrey Urquhart. He's King Banana up in Portland area. Really cool dude, but he saw what we did and he loved it. So 2 years later, the Number 12 Looks Like You did their big reunion tour, and it was their first tour in 10 years or something like that. And so we wanted to play that show. So we begged Jeff, like, let us play. So he let us play that show. The show got snowed in. So it was supposed to be like 150 people or 200 people or something like that. And ended up being like 25 because there was a snowmageddon. All of Portland was shut down. So we just got to have one-on-one time with the Number 12 Looks Like You guys. And their drummer watched us play, and he loved what we did. And so he stayed in touch with us. And then years later said, like, hey, if you guys want to put out an album, I have a small label, and I'd love to press you guys' album on vinyl. So he did. And then because of that, he invited us to play a tour supporting Number 12 Looks Like You, which was the one that started in Florida. So it's like every thread can be traced back to this complete garbage show where we were just frustrated and the show was a complete debacle. But because we did what we did and treated those people with kindness, the people, the other bands, which that phrase has always been funny to me. Like when people say like, "Oh, we just played for the other bands." It's like if anything, those are your contacts,
Right?
Like,
right. And worst case
for
scenario,
the other bands. If you can impress other bands when there's no one else there, that's a really, really good thing. So, and just because we actually just did everything that we could as if it was a big show, like we were frustrated, but we didn't show that to the crowd, the other band. But yeah, like sometimes even the absolute worst shows that you've ever played in your entire life, there's somebody there who years later, because of them, an opportunity comes up. And so you just kind of have to, swallow the bad times with the good and treat them all the same.
Fair.
Anyways.
Was that knock on our end or his?
That's me.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the heck? Is there somebody here? But no, I agree. I mean, every opportunity is an opportunity. You just don't realize how much of an opportunity it is until you're down the road with it.
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, I would not be a promoter if it wasn't for the fact of the band Dead Horse Trauma. And I've given that story a million times over, but it's just one of those things. Bad promoter, kind of like you had with your experience. The whole show dropped. It got canceled 3 days before it was supposed to happen. The guy took the money and ran. I called the band and I was like, dude, I don't know what to do. It's like, is there anywhere else in town? And they're like, I was like, yeah, I can try. And they're just like, dude, if you can make this happen, we'll owe you a solid. In 3 days, I found a different venue, got it all started up, got that band their guarantee that they were supposed to have at the other spot, which was $300. And we made that show happen and it kicked ass. And literally that was the moment where that band walked up to me and said, man, you'd make a good promoter with how quick you just jumped on all that shit. And I was like, well, maybe I should try it because our main venue's been gone because it closed down. And so nobody was doing it. So I kind of just, maybe I'll give it a shot.
Yep.
So
it's just that one person, dude. That's all it takes.
Yeah. And it's never stopped from there. So
that's how we met.
Yep, that's how all three of us met.
Exactly.
So
four of
we
us live together.
Well,
now
we live together now. They only moved in as of October last year.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's just like he was in a band. He saw my stuff and he's like, "Hey, I want to play a show." I was like, "Hey, I want you to come play a show." Mm-hmm. And then he showed up one day with a camera to photography a buddy in another band that was performing. And I was like, "Hey, you actually have a decent camera and you look like you know what you're doing."
I did not.
Would you like to do
fooled them all?
Right? Would you like to do house photography so that way I have shows and photos from them so that way I can show people that like, hey, there really is live music here. Come down, come have fun with us. Yeah. And we've just been talking ever since, and we're all good friends, and we're more like family to each other now. And it's just the weird way things play out. You just got to be grateful for every little circumstance you can get.
I have one little story I want to tell. And it's about Taylor. So we played this little 2-day festival in Walla Walla, and even though we were not on the same day as you, my most next to the house show that I saw you guys at in Walla Walla as well, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Taylor comes running out of the venue right before they're about to play, and he's like, "The show's in here, not out here. You don't need to be out here smoking cigarettes." Grabs somebody's cigarette and eats the entire motherfucker. I'm just sitting there like, I'm going inside.
And funny enough is I didn't know it was like halfway through our set and I was in my underwear at that point.
Yep.
Of course.
Sounds about right.
What band isn't in their underwear at that point? But I run outside and I'm just being silly and having a good time, but Trevor made me sound like I was like, "Get inside."
No, it was like, fucking epic. Shut up. He's like
the show's inside. and
fucking wild.
Yeah, just instinctually grab the guys. I can't remember who it was, but they're just like, I was like, "Why are you guys out here?" He's like, "I'm rolling a cigarette." So I just grabbed it.
It was so fucking funny.
I learned at that point that tobacco burns.
Yes.
It hurts.
Yes,
so my mouth is on fire and I'm trying to spit out tobacco while running in my underwear, and I jump in a trash can with mustard and ketchup because all they had was hot dogs there.
Forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot he jumped in the dumpster too. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And but funny enough,
but Wyoming's bad.
in that little circle group, I didn't know this at the time, but it was Jared Dines, the YouTube dude, and he was in that group, and so he ended up talking about, it's like, what was that band called? Oh yeah, Steaksauce Mustache. He's like, this vocalist came in, his mic was not plugged in, which he didn't know, but it's a wireless mic. But he was in his underwear and he ate the cigarette, and like that was crazy. So you never know who's there.
Yep.
That's freaking awesome.
What's sad is Jared Dines and Austin Dickey showed up right after we got done playing on day one. I was like, man, that would have been sick if they would have seen us play.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, good times, good times.
All right.
Yeah, and I think I interacted with you, Trevor, at that house show with my other band like a month or two later.
I love you guys for that. Yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah,
good times.
Well,
sure,
all I
haven't
know.
gotten to play with Cold Hearts yet, but
No, not yet, but the day will come. The day will come.
Well, you know, I happen to book shows and put things together, so you know.
Dude,
if
maybe you put in a good word with you.
Yeah, you know, if you guys ever want to like play a show together, just let me know once the world opens back up.
For freaking reals, I think I'm scheduled to get my arm shot with the vaccine on Thursday because
Nice.
I don't even care if it works or not. I just want to get it so that we can move on.
I agree with that.
I'm about to that point myself, so it's just kind of one of those things that getting my kids back into actual school, all of it, you know, just let's just go forward.
Yep. Anywhere forward from here is a step in the right direction.
I feel that.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Exactly.
And I'm absolutely so sick of, like, this is just my personal thing. Like, I agree, gotta keep people safe, but the whole policing online thing where it's like somebody will say like, hey, what if we did a show, you know, with just my homies, like 8 people at my house, and the pile-on of people from other cities getting mad at them and arguing like, you're killing people. It's like they literally had the Super Bowl with 22,000 people in attendance this year. We could do a show with 8 people who we're close friends with. Like,
right.
It's very crisscrossed. I'm just
it's
excited
a wild
for people
situation.
to stop treating each other so poorly.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that one.
I think that's what I'm ready for the most is for everybody to stop treating each other poorly.
We actually had that conversation the other day too. It's like what happened within the last year and a half where just the decency and respect for everyone's gone out the fucking window.
I think we never really had any. It's just the semblance is gone now.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I feel like I'm a moderately sane individual.
You're on this podcast, bro.
Yeah.
Good luck.
But I feel like mentally I'm all right for the most part.
Right.
But I've been hit with some really emotional lows this last year, and like my friends who struggle with bipolar and depression, like I've had 2 friends, you know, die from suicide this last year, and it's like, whether or not COVID is the issue is not the problem. The fact that our friends and our family have lost all sense of hope, like that's what we really need, is just a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, is this going to end? Because they keep perpetuating it longer and longer and longer, and just saying like, no, it's never going to heal for 2 or 3 years. We have to do this. It's like, it's no wonder people are killing themselves because they feel like there's just, it's like they don't want this any longer. So I'd rather spend times with my friends and get sick from COVID than them kill themselves and not have COVID is kind of where I'm at this point. But
so do Trevor, Jan, do you guys mind if I indulge a little bit about you guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
I won't go into the details, but do you
rather
mind?
not, but okay.
I don't mind. I'm an open book. You know that.
Okay. So one of the things is that, you know, like I said, these guys kind of moved in with me in October, and that was the same way that I was feeling. Is it was like there was that dread of like there is no hope, there's nothing to look forward to. What are we doing? And these 2 fine gentlemen were going through a very hard point in each of their lives. Easy to say that, you know, alcohol was a nightly thing, trying to drown sorrows and things of that nature. And finally, I just looked at both of them and I said, come stay with me. I've got it downstairs. You'll have your own rooms, your own bathroom. And it was one of those things that I'm glad that I had the ability to do that, because it's one of those things where my community is something that I watch over. Doing shows, we would do fundraisers for those in the scene that were hurting, you know, going through hard experiences, losing their homes, medical, fighting cancer, whatever. I could at least be there and like try to get us all to remember that it's like, hey, we're human. This pandemic has really stopped that. So being able to get these two guys to come here, I mean, I'm not going to divulge into their details of what they're going through, but just in the time that they've been here since October, alcohol is no longer a problem. You've actually gone through sobriety, and you're doing fantastic with it. I can't be happier for you. You found yourself. You're not struggling with your own inner demons every day, where you're just depressed and on the verge of breaking down. And even myself, it's just knowing that these guys have my back every day. I don't feel alone every day. I mean, I have a wife and kids, and all I could think to myself every day is I felt empty and alone. And that's not okay when I have a wife and kids. Something's wrong there. And just all three of us being able to feed off of each other and build off of each other. And then we were like, well, what if we just did a podcast, just talking about music stuff, And this has been so therapeutic for us. It's given us hope. It's given us inspirations. He started learning how to make music videos and commercials and everything of that. Yeah. Diving into things he's never done before. He's looking into more things as well. He's got an SM7B. He's working on recordings from homes, trying to work covers, trying to do all this, really. Do anything. And I'm learning about podcasting and getting to talk with people and doing the things that I love and experiencing the most. This has been so therapeutic for us. And I'm glad we have this option.
100%.
But I am in 100% with you. I would rather get sick and make sure that my people are okay than say, I could have just said, sorry, guys, figure out your own lives. There's a pandemic. We can't talk to each other. You can't be here. We have to remember that at the end of the day, we are human and we need other people. We need interaction. There is no human being that can survive solely on their own.
We're herd animals, man.
Yeah, what's frustrating is how polarizing it is, and it's like there's truth and right on both sides of any argument. And this last year, with it being a political season, the pandemic, the Black Lives Matter, and in our area, like literally the cities next to us completely burned down.
Yeah.
All this stuff. Like, it has been a very, very, very rough year. And what we do not need is more people pointing more fingers online saying like, how dare you? La, da, 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 da. It's like, man, there are people who are struggling right now. Just like some of my best friends had mentioned to me, it's like, yeah, a week ago I was planning on killing myself. And then our buddy so-and-so did kill himself, and like it just made me it woke me up, made me realize like I can't do that. And right now it's really, really tough for a lot of people, and it's interesting with depression. When I'm depressed and I'm sad, the last thing I want to do is reach out for help,
right?
Because it's like
checking on each other, man.
You turn into yourself, and you just like, it's hard because that the thing that you need more than anything is the last thing that you want to try to go do. So, yeah, it's been tough. Like, and you can only tell people like, oh, I'm thinking about you, I'm caring about you so many times. Like, we need that in-person interaction, or even just the face-to-face, like chatting. Like, this has been, you guys don't even know, like, this has been awesome for me just to see you guys and get to hear from you. And
it's different, telling someone you care about them over a Facebook message versus, you can do that, or you can hit him in the face in a mosh pit. I would rather have the latter.
But he also expresses something right there that's important too. It's one thing to say something in like Messenger, like, hey bro, just thinking about you, hope you're having a good day. And then even just taking the time, like we're sitting here having a conversation. I can see your face. I can see when you smile. Yeah. I can see when you, right? But I mean, I can see that you're physically doing okay. This means something to me. Yeah. Like you said, it's like, it's nice to just be able to sit here and talk to you guys and do this. There's nothing stopping people. You have cell phones. All of them can do FaceTime. Facebook Messenger can do FaceTime. Take the moment and look at your friend in the face if you can't see them in person, and just have a conversation like this. It goes so far.
It does.
And it really brings a lot of peace.
I'm absolutely terrible with phone conversations because, like, I'm a back-to-back, let's get stuff done kind of person, like just always looking for the next project. And so a phone call, it's always like, yeah, what do you need? What's the info? Okay, bye. Like, I don't like to, because I'm a visual person, and so if my mind can think about other stuff, then it will. So yeah, this has been great getting to just see you guys and talk to you. It keeps me engaged, and I'm having a good time.
That's good.
That's
We're
good.
glad to hear that. And don't ever be afraid to be a guest on here. If there's ever a topic you want to talk about, we always leave the door open to everybody.
Yeah.
Come on in, bring it in, chat. Even if we've talked about it, maybe you have a new perspective we didn't touch base on. So we have no problem going back and touching on stuff. So, or touching
my opinion
ourselves.
changes every day. So yeah, a daily podcast of like, what do you feel like today?
Right. No, it's one of those things where we definitely have a lot of fun doing what we do, but we are always happy to have guests. So if there's ever a point you want to join us, just shoot us a message and jump right in.
And that goes to everybody who listens to this too, because we do pay attention to our analytics. Even if you're not in the music scene and you just want to talk and get something off your chest or anything like that, we can do that.
Right. We don't have to always be on such a straight focus all the time. A lot of people think that it's only the music we talk about.
Focus?
Right. But you know what? The thing I like about this conversation is we came in here and like, we're going to talk about merch. And I think we're at 2 hours and 10 minutes right now. And I don't even think we've spent 20 minutes talking about, maybe 20 to 30 minutes talking about merch. And I think the other hour and a half has just been
good
talking about stories and like cool events that have happened and
eating
just
cigarettes.
Whatever. Eating cigarettes.
That's
Wyoming.
The most wild thing. Wyoming.
So
Yep.
I do
Avoid
think
Wyoming.
I do think we
Sorry,
should,
all you Wyoming fans out there. I
If
know
you're
that there
from
aren't
Wyoming,
any,
it's not that we
no one
hate
in
you. We
Wyoming.
just hate your weather.
Yeah, no, if you're from Wyoming, you can come here and tell us to our face how much your state is better than we say it is, but then you're going to come here and realize, holy crap,
There's sunshine.
they're right.
This is what's crazy is I looked up the population of Wyoming. Like the city I live in, it's a moderate sized city. It's Medford, Oregon, and we have roughly 140,000 population here. Wyoming as a whole state, this is just a small city. It's not a big city, but as a whole state, Wyoming only has like 70 or 80,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include the cattle?
No.
What's that?
Does that include the cattle?
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
Anyway, no,
Might
what I
count
was
them
saying is at some point I do want to bring this conversation back to merch a little bit
Let's do it right now.
in a very specific way.
All right. So, Taylor, I hope you're ready. You're going to have to join us for a wonderful segment of ours. This is called Who You Reppin'.
All right.
This is the part of the show where we talk about the artists that we are repping, whether it be your hat, your shirt, it could be your socks. We don't care.
You could just be me and wear full Adidas.
There you go.
Tell us about Adidas.
Every day I dream about sex. That's it.
It's all day, idiot.
All day I dream about sex.
Not every day.
I don't know, dude. Don't ask me. I got put on the spot.
So anyway, for Who You Reppin', Trevor, who are you reppin'? Because you know that he didn't come here not repping somebody. Oh, God damn you.
Oh, my headphones.
So, just for the record, he's wearing one of my band's shirts.
Oh, give me 1 second. I got to get my headphones back on.
Papa Unicorn.
Oh, Poppy Unicorn. How will I ever defeat you? I am wearing Stress Fed Addiction. And actually, the color on this shirt is something to behold because the dark brown, that's actually why I wanted this one, was the root beer. It's root beer.
The color is root beer,
Yeah,
yes.
I love the color.
It's actually beer he's drinking.
the root beer color on the
Could be
t-shirt
his. You will never know.
combined with the like dark depth of blue. I love it. And there's another variant of it too that's a different color. Yeah. But this is Blaine's band, and they're working on music right now.
We just got done finishing all of our tracks. It's just being mixed down right now, so the EP should be out this year.
You got to keep your eyes on the Facebook page for Stress Fed Addiction on that. They're really great dudes.
Their genre.
I'm the genre guy, so I'm going to throw this out there. They are midlife metal.
We are definitely midlife metal.
But if
that
I
is
had
the
to
best
give them
brand
like
I've ever come up with.
a real genre, you guys would just be in the metal wheelhouse.
We like to consider ourselves a little bit thrash.
Thrash, metal. But good music. One of my favorite songs that you guys do that I know you recorded is First Blood. It's a newer song that you guys have. I really like the structure of it. I've seen you guys play more times than I can count, and I love it.
He can only count to 7 though, so it don't mean shit.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know that snare tone, dude. I heard that snare. I was like, nah.
Speaking of bad snare tones, Blaine, who you repping?
So one of the things I would like to say, though, about my band, since we have you on the chat with us, Taylor, is that you actually are the inspiration for what Stress Fed is now. So I used to be in the Stress Fed, I've been with them 14 years, and I think we had like a little hiatus for a little while, but then we came back. I now do a full-on costume thing as well. It's called Captain Dad Bod, and I cannot tell you enough how much you guys are the inspiration for that in Steaksauce Mustache.
Yeah.
I was wear the camo cutoff shorts with a tank top, like, no, my gray, but I was like, man, I'm tired of being angry. I want to write fun stuff. I want to be happy. And even if I have to if I still like the music I'm writing and it's angry, I just want to be happy on stage. I want to live.
Yeah.
I want to have fun.
Performing is a very, very fun experience. And so a lot of bands get up there and they talk about how they, hate themselves and want everyone to die. And it's like, I get it. It's an emotional release, but when I am performing or when I'm at a show, I am just excited and stoked to be there and stoked that there's other people there. So I get that. That's sick.
So after seeing you guys were a major inspiration for me to finally be like, fuck it, I'm going the way I want to go. And I started doing the Captain Dad Bod thing. The Dangler Wrangler. There's so many different outfits that I've done. We do things like go down and buy the what is it when girls are about to get married? The party bachelorette party. Went down to a store, got the giant plastic penis for ring toss and stuff like that. And if you do it, you win a free shirt from the band. And we have a beach ball that has a blow up penis inside of it. And we are just over the top ridiculous. But the thing is that I want people to go there and smile and have fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's all I care about. Whether you like me or whether you think I'm over the top, who cares? I had a good time, and I'm hoping someone else did too. And I just want you to know that you guys have been a huge inspiration for that. So I wanted to say thank you.
We got to.
I guess that covers who you're repping.
No, hold on. What was that?
We got to have a Cold Hearts and Stress Fed Addiction concert very, very soon.
Yes.
I know
agree.
a guy who books shows up in your area, so
yeah, I know a guy who books shows and plays in a band.
And you know what? I hear he pays bands too, so that's a big plus as well.
That sounds like a unicorn to me. I don't think it's real.
So real quick, Jan, I know you want it to go to me, but I'm going to make it go to you. Who you got?
I'm repping the homies from Hemlock. Speaking of people who...
a Wendy's shirt, dude.
Oh, absolutely. I love this piece of merch. So you
awesome.
picked this up for me while you were touring with them because when I photographed them when they were here in town, I forgot to buy merch. I just straight up forgot.
Yeah.
I had a really good time. Well, absolutely loved them. Loved everyone who played that night. What was it? Rising Enemy played. Epidemic played. There was one more band. I forgot. I'm so sorry.
Hemlock and then mine.
Was it
Prophets.
Profits. That's what it was. So I love this design mostly because when he first gave him on the, you got me a Wendy. Wait, that's not a Wendy shirt. It took a second, and it's just it's a wonderful design. But they're also people who just go and have fun on stage. Maybe not to the extreme that they come out as Captain Dad Bod, but they come out and they party, and I love it. I think all three of us are wearing pretty much party bands. Today,
for the most part,
yeah,
we're having fun,
and I love that. I think it's one of the best parts of any performance is seeing a band have fun.
That's awesome.
So, Taylor, you kind of touched on a little bit. Who you repping?
So I've only given 7 shout outs now, so here's an 8.
Only.
But I'm wearing a long sleeve of Silent Pendulum records that I actually designed for him, and Cadner has just become one of my consistently steady, just awesome friends. He's only one guy, and so when people see Silent Pendulum Records, they kind of think of a conglomerate or a group of people. But it's one dude, and he grinds and works harder than anybody I've ever met. He works multiple jobs doing different things. He plays drums for every album he can get his hands on. So I think he's playing in 3 or 4 active bands right now. For the number 12 Looks Like You. I think he's filling in for Dead Empires. I could be wrong on that. And then he does a ton of recording for other bands as well. So, yeah, Cadner's just an awesome homie, and so I will forever support him for the rest of my life. And he's supported me, and he pays me really well for design work. So yeah, if you need some extreme metal, or he kind of is catering more towards just stuff that's different. It's not necessarily metalcore, deathcore kind of stuff, but he does a big variety. He's done some softer bands as well. So if you want something different and a little more out there, then check out Silent Pendulum Records.
Nice.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah, Silent Pendulum. I watch what he does, and I'm just like, dude, how do you have the energy to keep up with everything you're doing? That's just sheer insanity to me. So,
No joke. Like
he's with Stallion.
I'm focused on 1 or 2 albums for him at a time, but we have lined up like another 12 releases for the rest of the year, and on top of that, he was out on an island in New York area, working on a solar wind farm out there for like 3 months straight, not a single day off, just grinding every single day to save money so that he could do the label and his other businesses. So he's a grinder. And on top of that, he's super busy, but he always, every couple days, texts me, checks in, just says, how are you doing? Like, how's life? What's going on?
That's
so
cool.
He checks in on a lot of friends and homies too. He's just a great sweetheart.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Well, so for my Who You Reppin', obviously, I've got the Steaksauce mustache. I supported the green screen.
The Green Screen Dream Foundation.
That's right. The Green Screen Dream Foundation.
It sounds like a scam, bro.
I know, right?
Too late. I already gave the money.
Fuck. There's some rich Nigerian prince out there.
But as I have said a million times before, and I will say it again, Steaksauce Mustache, your band is fantastic. If you don't like the style of music, who cares? Go see the show. You will have fun. You will be blown away. And if you like that style of music, you're just going to like it that much more. There's absolutely nothing like it. There's absolutely no other band's presence on the internet that I enjoy more, going out of my way to see what you're doing next.
Thank you.
I love
feel
your
like
videos.
We're always scarce between content, but because we kind of don't like to spam or push something more than once,
right?
So we kind of post it, and then just if we don't have anything important to say, we don't say anything.
But and that's fine. But whenever you guys do drop something, I notice it. Whenever you guys do something, I'm paying attention to it. Like, it's on my radar.
What's the hat you're wearing?
The hat is actually a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because I'm a motherfucking TMNT. So
that's what I thought it was, but it's kind of blurry on the screen.
So here, what I'll do is hand you that, since you're a little bit closer to the camera.
Does it have a shell pattern on the lip there?
Yeah, it's got a shell pattern, but it's like 8-bit old school video game style pixelated.
I'll send you a proper picture of it later.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love that.
That's badass. Yeah.
And then hang on just a sec, because I actually have one more for Who You're Reppin'.
Oh god.
Yeah! I saved these for this episode.
The pants are coming off.
So the pants are coming off. The pants are coming off.
I bought him these as a gift.
I'm not sure that these are showing.
It's okay. I'm going to show them. So give me just a second. I'm going to walk a little bit closer, folks.
Oh my god, I'm so nervous. I'm going to move for this.
Seepage.
For the audio podcasters, we'll describe it. He's walking around the table.
Yes,
his thighs are clearly exposed.
He's wearing a bro job.
Doesn't really show too well. Hang on, I got to stand
Bro
on my
job
chair
booty
or something.
shorts.
Yes, they're bro job booty shorts. It's a thing.
Here, let's see if I can do this without embarrassing myself.
I think we're past the point of not
Past the
embarrassing
point
you.
of embarrassment.
Yeah.
So I've got the bro job
my
shorts, and these are very fantastic to me. I love them very much, because on the back, I get to show how thick I can be.
Oh, heck yeah. That's great.
Well, oh my god, yes.
YouTube thumbnail, here we come.
And so that is the other band I'm repping. I can't imagine that you do not know who Steaksauce, or for the Steaksauce boys would not know who Bro Job is.
Yeah, they're one of those bands I'd love to play with one day. Like, the only thing I'm familiar with them, other than the name, I've seen it around, but they have that song. In just the beginning of it is...
This is the sound of 1,000 clapping yakks.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah. That's it. And then just clap, 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 clap. And when
Oh my
Teeny
god.
Weeny is the name of that song.
yeah.
I'm so
when
happy
people
right
talk to
now.
Steaksauce, and they... Like, I just remember when the first time that Lamb Goat ever shared our name, like we were excited because lamb goat's the place where they tear everything apart and everything sucks in their eyes.
Right.
And we're like, oh, what do they got? What are they gonna do? And it blew our minds because everyone was super supportive of us.
Oh no,
That's nice. That's nice.
They're like, oh, Steaksauce is great. I really like those guys. And we're like, no, come on, give it to us. But
you were hoping to get reamed, and you got the praise. It's just like, what the hell?
the one even remotely negative, it wasn't even negative. It was just like underhanded compliment. This one guy said, like, tagged his buddy and then said, like, dude, have you checked out this band Steaksauce Mustache? It makes me think of Every Time I Die, but I think they have stupid lyrics. So when I imagine that people think that Steaksauce Mustache with our name, that our lyrics are similar to what Bro Job does, but it's kind of the opposite.
Right. No.
I thought that was pretty funny, though.
I just enjoy Bro Job just for the fact of it's kind of like what you guys are saying. It's like we don't take ourselves super seriously. We're the metal guys that are like, we can joke about this. And
most metalheads are nerds. Like,
100%.
Why not own it 100%?
Yep.
So, and like I said, I'm wearing a TMNT hat.
Heck yeah.
A couple of shows back, I was wearing a Venom hat that has like a cartoon Venom licking a Spider-Man lollipop. It's just I'm a nerd. I love comics. I love electronics.
Yeah.
I mean, all that stuff is like, it's what I was raised on, and I still love it. And it is very weird sitting next to you guys with these booty shorts on only.
Oh, it's so awesome! I've been waiting for this day. I've been waiting for this day.
Are you looking at the? Are you looking
dude.
at it? Is that what you're doing?
I'm looking at your face. Like, this is eye contact, homeboy.
Excuse me, but my green screen is up here.
Exactly. But my thick is back here.
Oh my god!
But all right, well, Taylor, I think that's what we're going to call as a wrap up for right now, just because I need to get pants back on.
Yes, please.
So I'll hit you with my spiel of, if you liked what you guys heard today, go check us out on Facebook. Make sure you check out Steaksauce Mustache and Your Hands Right History, both of Taylor's bands. We'll put links in the descriptions for everything that we were wearing if you want to check them out too. Check us out on soon-to-be other streaming services.
Yep, we'll let you know.
And we'll let you know when that happens. Make sure you click the subscribe button, hit that little notification bell. We're all on Facebook. And yeah, have a great rest of your day after listening.
Check us out on MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace.
Yeah.
Taylor, is there anything you'd like to shout out before we wrap up?
If you rep Silent Pendulum one more time, bro.
I've done that justice. Well, just for a little teaser, Steaksauce, we've been very busy recording and writing this last year. We actually have a new full length that I'm finishing vocals for right now. And we also have another potentially full length, almost done being recorded instrumentally. And we also have a cover EP that we've been putting some songs together. We're basically just trying to amass content so that when we can tour, that we have stuff to give people. But so there's all that. Then my other band, Your Hands Right History, we have our 3-part concept series, Luna Terra Soul, that we've been working on the last few years. And the last EP, Soul, hopefully will be coming out here in a couple months. I have a couple of music videos that I'm editing right now and all that stuff. And we're just trying to figure that out because our guitar player moved to California, so getting connected with him isn't super easy right now. But we're stoked about stuff. We're very grateful for everything that our friends and fans have been giving us and their support and kindness. And we are desperate to play shows. We look forward to that. And I'm just very grateful to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Happy
It
to.
was a treat.
Genuine treasure is what I'm going to call it. So.
Gold.
Jan, is there anything you'd like to throw out? Other than telling me to put my pants back on?
I've actually
mostly telling you to put your pants back on.
Please leave them off.
Is your name actually Jan or is it Jan?
It's Jan.
Jan.
It's a weird Dutch thing.
So the first time I met him, it was actually outside of one of Blaine's shows.
I'm not ruling it out, but
No, if you want, you can tell him your full surname if you'd like.
Today,
no, we're good.
I was like, it's Jan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jan. I found that out the hard way. We were outside of the Eagles one night, and I was talking to Blaine, and I looked at Jan, and I was like, hey, Jan. And he's like, the fuck did you just call me?
No, for the record, my mom does watch this podcast. So, Mom, for the suggestion that you guys were drunk. Yeah, we know you were. It's okay.
And with that being said,
so since this is episode 10 and we're having a special moment here, I did want to announce that we are working on a new studio. We are hoping to have that up and running here within about the next month or two.
Yep.
Once that's done, we would love to do a wonderful tour for everybody to see the new studio and the new place that we're trying to work on. The other thing is that I think, are you okay with me announcing the next show?
Yeah.
That's going to be coming to the Papa Bear and Associates wheelhouse?
Boy, yeah, let's bring it out there.
Okay, so Trevor is so excited that he wanted to start a new series, and we are in full support of him with it, and we'll be joining him as well. It's not like he has to be solo or left to the dogs for it. But,
no, we're going to look and judge, right? I thought...
But pretty much there's a new segment that I want to be working on because I've met so many incredible people and so many incredible people have met me that I want to start getting their stories out there too. So what I want to do is kind of called like the story of, and it could be like an individual or it could be a band or an entity. It doesn't have to be limited to that, but I want to help get their story out there and make the face associate with the background, if that makes sense.
That's awesome. Final goal for this particular segment is to have an actual live on-air interview with the guy who makes the snare for Saint Anger.
Yeah.
But no, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while now because, like I've said, I've met a lot of incredible people, you being one of them. And so, yeah, I just want to get more stories out there. I want more people to be heard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
I love the idea, too, of you diving in on kind of, the story of it actually developing because it's always fascinating to hear about how these bands that you kind of people think that there's a separation between these entities, these bands that have made it, quote, sold out, but really it's like it's all one human pool. It's all the same people doing stuff. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to start diving into it and actually getting something going for it. So
for sure, yeah.
So keep an eye out for the story of, and then Jan, should we share the other one as well?
Let's hold off on that one.
Let's hold off on that one for the time being? Okay, we'll save that one for now.
Announcements coming soon.
Announcements coming soon. In a world gone mad.
You really do have a radio announcer voice.
No, that would be Mr. Movie Announcer.
Can you please do your outro just like that?
What?
Can you do our outro like that?
The Papa Bear and Associates?
No, like
how
we
end it.
Yeah, how we normally end.
Okay, so with that being said, it's so weird trying to, you're putting me on the spot now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out another episode of BPMs brought to you by Papa Bear and Associates. I am Papa Bear. To my left, I have Jan, the photographer. To my right, I have Trevor, the musician. Papa Bear and Associates. And on the screen in front of us, the one, the only, the myth, the legend, the superhero of all time, we have Taylor. Thank you for joining us today, Taylor.
You fucking broke him.
You do every episode like that.
Every episode. I don't think I want to do that. But I do love it. I actually got it from the comedian. Do you know Pablo Francisco?
Yeah.
Okay. In a world gone mad, he sold tortillas on the street corner, and the mafia wanted in. I don't know who this guy is, but I want him and his family dead. Arnold Schwarzenegger is Little Tortilla Boy. You have to get out of here. They're trying to take my tortillas. Yeah. I love this shit.
Oh my god!
I just get bored, and I do a lot of voice imitations over the years.
I felt like I was in the theater. It's been so long.
This is why we don't go over 2 hours.
Pablo's girlfriend, Carla.
I don't know who he is, but he's talking to me like he knows me.
Anyway, with that being said, I am Papa Bear, Jan, Trevor, Taylor. Thank you for your time. This is another episode of BPMs, and I just want to say much love to you all. Take care of each other. Reach out to each other. Make sure everybody's doing okay, and much love to you all. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Please put pants on.
Papa Bear and Associates does not take any responsibility for sexual complications while listening to this program. Side effects have been known to include sweating, extended and unexpected erections, perked nipples, butt clenching, inflammation of the testicles, and anal seepage. Furthermore, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, you should make sure to send us your non-graphic pictures for our viewing pleasure. Thank you and much love.